up, fam? How you doing? That exclusively ESO content. Yeah, for real. Also, how do you like this lighting? Turn the music down. I'm vibing with this lighting. I actually didn't realize before I had it set up, but wow, it's moody. Yeah, I like it. It was completely like not intended, but I feel like this is like the late night Riley vibe. And I'm really vibing because you got like the pink here, but then on the right side you got the white and you got the blue in the background for contrast. The lighting is pocket. Yeah, totally. And then of course it matches over here. Like, I'm so happy with how like everything looks. I mean, I look like crap, but you know, it's been a work day. So I'm not doing anything fancy to get dressed up. So I hope you do not mind. Don't hold it against me. Listen, I'm not like other streamers. I'm not like other girls, but I'm not like other streamers where this is like the full-time job that they have. Like, I do this in literally my spare time. And I have no idea how I'm doing it. I just coached my mock trial team for 3 straight hours. But hey. Also, how slow is the slow mode? I might have to adjust that, but I don't know how to. Oh, also, hey Manic, how's it going?
Hello.
Hey, would you be willing to read me the flashcards and stuffs? Since I specifically, I tried making this channel, like for the purpose of, because like usually, I fall into the issue where, I realize that I have a easy propensity of talking to people, on account of the fact that I do oh, thanks for the follow, that I do the what you call it, the streaming. It's almost as if I enjoy talking to people. I realized that I probably needed a new chat specifically for the purpose of studying. So yeah, would you be cool with like reading the flashcards and whatnot?
Yeah, I'm trying to get the website to go through right now.
Chill. And that'd be chill, because then I can, because otherwise, like, I have a plan. If I don't have anyone, like, basically the plan is just like, as I queue for dungeons, to do them on the screen. The lighting is really great. Thank you. Yeah, I am really happy. Also, because now there's a little more lighting actually from the side. I'm not sure if you can tell, it's red. I'm not sure how much it comes up here, but it's lighting from the heat lamp for Shelly. So actually there's a little more light from that side, which I think it actually ends up going really well. And it's also nice because it's really hard, like, glaring in, like, with the light. Like, I have a really big, like, floodlight right here, which I have on for, like, my normal videos, but it's really hard on the eyes. Lighting's really great. Blue and white. Bit behind you. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like, yeah, listen, I try to be professional for y'all. I do, even though we are, comparatively speaking, small channel, I don't know, I do put basically everything that y'all give me just back into the channel. The next investments are going to be a new microphone, which, I mean, like, this one is fine, but we're going to be, like, getting the nice microphone. I can't remember what it's the one that, like, Hassan uses, and Tim Pool was using it when he talked to Vosh the other day. It's, like, that microphone that everyone uses. What is ESO about? It's the Elder Scrolls, but online. That's what it's about.
I seem to be having issues. It's not accepting the password.
Oh, yeah. I posted the new password in Friends VC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a new password. I'm sorry. And hey, thanks for the follow. Also, I specifically turned off sounds for at least certain stuff. I might even turn off sounds for, like, most things, to be perfectly honest, just because, like, when I have combos, I understand people like the sounds, but, like, they do kind of interrupt the flow of the conversation sometimes. Hey, Spooky. I'm still figuring that one out. Because, I mean, like, I'm vibing right now. I'm just chilling. How are we doing? Oh, alright, chill. Like, 33 people are on YouTube. YouTube stream is new. Wait, what are you talking about? YouTube stream is new? This is definitely... You're a choose me streamer? I mean, maybe. I mean, that's just every streamer, right? Every streamer is a pick me streamer. I'm pretty sure. Oh.
Which stack are we going with?
Oh, on the homepage, there's just a button that says Study All, or Study. We go with that one. Yep.
All right. First question is a hypothetical.
Great.
James was the founding partner, along with Fabian and Sue, in a successful three-partner dermatology practice in Bethesda, Maryland. It was structured as a limited partnership, James being the general partner, while Sue and Fabian being limited partners. 3 years ago, one of the practice's former employees sued the practice for sexual harassment. The suit was based on past behavior of James towards the former employee. Settlement negotiations were unsuccessful, and this type of claim was not covered by the practice's malpractice coverage. Since Fabian and James are not wealthy, they just gambled away their life savings in Las Vegas, the plaintiff's lawyer wants to go after Sue from her personal savings. Sue had not conducted any liable behavior, and plaintiff does not allege that she had known about the sexual harassment. Sue, however, had referred to employee in question to the dermatology practice. Could the plaintiff go after Sue?
No, she's a limited partner.
Correct. That is a 5.
Pog. Love it. Also, that might come, again, like a lot of these might like not make sense to people. But honestly, like if people watch for long enough, y'all will learn the law in strictly educational fashion, which is all I am allowed to do. But yeah, it only, a lot of these flashcards will come out of nowhere, but they make sense like once you start kind of piecing them all together over time.
Next question is on the nature of agency relationship. What are potentially the 3 different parties in agency situations?
You have the principal, the agent, and the third party.
That is a 5.
Pog.
What is the single subject rule?
It's the rule that generally when you're drafting legislation, you should limit what you are making the legislation on to one subject.
Perhaps I should reframe it. This is in conjunction with the Maryland legislative bill drafting.
Right. Yeah, it's when you're drafting a
Okay.
bill, you should keep it confined to one subject. Is that not right?
There's some very dense legal, I guess, annotations on the next page.
All right. Yeah, give me the answer.
So Article 3, Section 29, and every law enacted by the General Assembly shall embrace but one subject, with the purpose of the one subject rule is to prevent writers from being attached to the bills that are popular and so certain of adoption that the writer will secure adoption not on its own merits, but on the merits of measures to which it is attached.
Okay.
The additional purpose of the single subject rule is to protect the integrity of the governor's veto power.
Yeah, so I mean, like, I got it right. Or, I mean, I sort of got it right. I don't know. You can give me a 3, because there are technically other parts of that I could have included there. But basically, that's the idea, right? Is that you can only, like, the rules, you can only have one subject in the bill that you present, at least in Maryland. I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same in most other states because, like, the policy purpose is to make sure that, like, when you are drafting a bill, that like an idea or a subject that would otherwise be unpopular or wouldn't be passed on its own merits can't just like free ride along with what is otherwise a popular idea. It means that the subjects have to be kind of evaluated on their own merits.
Sure. All right, next question. What does it mean to draft in tabular style?
It means that everything is annotated. So it like, I'm pretty sure that's what the strict answer is, but like an example would be like you have a line and then you have a line under that would be like subsection A, and then you have subsection 1, subsection I, subsection, and so on and so forth, right? Like every single sentence has a subsection.
Yeah, I'm willing to give you a 5. I just want to read you the answer just to make sure you agree.
Yep.
It's almost every sentence has its own subsection and paragraph, and do not use multiple sentences or whole paragraphs in the subsection.
Yep, that's fine. You can give me a 5.
All right. What determines whether a disaster relief organization qualifies for 501c3 classification?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Yep. What determines whether a disaster relief organization qualifies for 501c3 classification?
There's like several things. It has to do with the type of service that it provides, the nature of whatever it is that it's responding to, type of disaster, the nature of whatever it's responding to, and the extent of and the nature of the aid that they're providing.
I'll read you the answer.
Yeah,
In
go for it.
determining those who may properly receive assistance from a charitable organization, the critical question narrows to what constitutes a charitable class of beneficiaries. A charitable class must be large or indefinite enough that providing aid to its members benefits the community as a whole.
Give me a 0. Rip. Oh, hey, Mo. How's it going? Is there anyone else in chat that I missed? Yeah. Hey, Mo. How's it hanging? Welcome to the chat. We're just vibing. Also, I just generally really like vibing. Aside from my politics streams, I figure, I don't know, I kind of like this. It's a lot healthier. It's a lot, we're just chilling and learning. Yeah. And also I'm being an ESO streamer girl, which is what I've really always wanted in life. This is the actual end goal. Vibing is good and cool. Yeah, totally. Anyway, sorry. What's the next question?
What is the quote-unquote notice requirement for corporations applying for nonprofit status?
Sorry, can you say that again?
Yep. What is the notice requirement for corporations applying for nonprofit status?
The incorporation requirement?
The notice requirement.
Notice requirement. I'm sorry, I was reading something in game. So the notice requirement is they have to give notice to the state or the otherwise governing body before they are able to adequately incorporate. I can't remember exactly what the phrasing is. They have to give notice to some governing body first.
Yep. I'd probably give you a 3 on that. I'll read you the answer just to be sure.
Okay.
Most nonprofit organizations seeking recognition as a tax-exempt charity under 501c3 must notify the IRS that they are applying for exemption and obtain a favorable determination of their exempt status.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you can give me a 3. I was also thinking, I always get like nonprofits and corporations mixed up. I mean, like they're very similar. I mean, like they are the same. Like they're all corporations, just that one's nonprofit status. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Give me a 3.
All right. Moving on. What functions does the board of directors have in the operation of a corporation?
They carry out the will of the shareholders and execute the day-to-day functions of the corporation in achieving those goals set out by the shareholders.
That's a 5.
Pog. Love it. It's so weird because like business associations is a class that I do the best in. Like that and legislation. And legislation, I mean, like, all right, that's good. I'm glad I do well in that class, considering I want to do the legislation. Nice. But considering that, I don't know, like maybe it's because I'm very critical of corporations is why I'm so good at understanding them. But hey, what do I know? Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to sidetrack.
Oh. When may a limited partner disassociate from a partnership?
When may a limited partner?
Yes.
Either when permitted under statute or when they otherwise provide notice to the other partners.
Might be a 3 here. Let me read you the answer real quick.
Yeah, that was a little... All right.
Limited partners have the right to disassociate from the partnership if it is an at-will partnership. However, if the partnership is for a term or particular undertaking, limited partners may not disassociate without incurring liability for wrongful disassociation. If there is no definite time for the limited partnership to end, then a limited partner may typically withdraw within a 6-month notice.
Give me a 2. I was pretty off the mark on that one.
All right. What does the restatement define as agency?
Agency is the ability to be able to legally bind principles, as if the principal, like to be able to legally bind principles to contracts as if the principal binded themselves or entered into contracts themselves.
I'll read you the answer on that one.
Okay.
It is the fiduciary relationship
Fiduciary, yeah.
that arises when one person, a principal, manifests assent to another person that the agent shall act, 1, on the principal's behalf, and 2, subject to the principal's control, and B, that the agent manifests assent or otherwise consents so to act.
Can you read that again?
Yep.
Thank you.
It's the agency is the fiduciary relationship that arises when one person manifests assent to another person that the agent shall act, 1, on the principal's behalf, and 2, subject to the principal's control, and subjection B, that the agent manifests assent to otherwise consents so to act.
Okay. Yeah, give me a... I mean, I captured the essence of it, but I definitely... Like, the language is important there. So you can give me a... Give me a 2. Be harsh on myself.
All right. What does it mean that an LLC is member managed?
It means that the members oversee the daily operations and have an equal share in the operation and ownership of the partnership or corporation.
Would you like more specificity on the answer?
Was it not specific enough?
You got the daily operation correct. It's that they will also vote on matters related to governance and will have responsibilities consistent with the organization's operating agreement.
Okay, then I didn't get it. You can give me a 3. Or give me a 2. I missed it pretty substantively.
Okay. When are legislators able to pre-file and introduce bills?
This is like one of the hardest questions. It's like 30 days before a specific date. I think it's like in July. Maybe it's like July 21st. It's like in a specific day for July 21st. Or it's like 30 days before July 21st or before the regular session.
You're correct. This is kind of a hard one. Prior to the legislative session, members may pre-file bills with DLS until mid-December. After then, DLS sends all pre-filed bills to the clerk's offices to be assigned a bill number. After the start of the legislative session in January, members can introduce bills until the 24th day of the session in the Senate, which is late January or early February, and the 31st day of the session in the House, which is early February.
This is going to be so hard. Give me the L. I'm going to hear it. It's going to come up another time during this. So actually, can you read it to me one more time so I can try to memorize it? Or if you passed it already, then don't worry about it.
All right. Does a general partner have to be an individual?
No, it can also be a corporation or another business entity.
Yeah, that's a 5.
Yep, chill. Sometimes I hit them right on the head. Every now and again.
All right. Who are the presiding officers in the Maryland House and Senate?
In the Senate, it's the Senate President. In the House, it's the Speaker.
Correct.
Chill. 5. Memorizing things sucks. Yeah, but I mean, like, if you know how to do it, it gets easier. Like, space repetition, like, I use a space repetition program for this, which basically means, like, the program is specifically designed to, like, basically know which flashcards are super easy for me and not test them on me as often, and to test me more on things I don't know. So progressively, it gets harder over time, but also it gets, like, it allocates time to the harder subjects as necessary. So it's, like, a really time-efficient way to... I'm really digging this, but I'm also so tired. Yeah, don't worry about it then.
All right, ready for the next one?
Mm-hmm.
What are 2 primary guardians who watch over nonprofits?
That's the State Attorney General and the IRS.
Correct, 5.
Pog.
This is a hypothetical.
Let's begin with a hypothetical. I'm sorry, even I make fun of Ben Shapiro. All right, I can't help it.
Nobody can help it. All right. Cardi B is given a $2,000 budget by the American Music Awards to procure an outfit to perform at the American Music Awards. AMA announces on Twitter that Cardi will perform at the AMA and that the AMA will be paying the winning designer directly. Cardi contacts Dolce & Gabbana, who agrees to sell the dress to her for $5,000. Thinking this is a good deal, after all she makes money moves, Cardi agrees to buy the dress and performs with the dress at the AMA. D&G bills the AMAs. The American Music Awards refuses to pay Dolce & Gabbana more than $2,000. Question: are the AMAs liable to Dolce & Gabbana?
Yes, under the doctrine of apparent authority. I think
It
the answer just says yes,
but,
yeah.
Yep.
But it is under the doctrine of apparent authority.
All right. What is the short title of a bill?
The short title describes what a bill is. There's like 4 points for this. Describes what a bill is. It's not too long. It's not too tedious. It articulates the purpose of the bill. It's easily searchable. Yeah, I think I hit some of them, but I don't know if I hit all of them.
I'll read you all 4 just in case. So it's bullet-sized summary of the bill, no right or wrong short title, not constitutionally relevant, and should give reader general idea of the subject matter.
Give me like a 3.
What is the municipal home rule?
This one's hard. Basically, for the most part, municipalities are able to have pretty wide latitude in what rules they enact, but I can't remember much more beyond that.
I feel like you got most of it there. It does link directly to like lines of the legal text. So it's constitutional amendment, Article XIE, establish municipal home rule, granting broad powers to municipalities to enact own laws and restrict the ability of General Assembly to enact laws for individual municipalities.
Can you repeat that again? Sorry, I was adjusting the volume on my music.
Yeah, no problem. So constitutional amendment, Article XIE, establish municipal home rule, granting broad powers to municipalities to enact own laws and restrict ability of General Assembly to enact laws for individual municipalities.
Yeah, that makes sense. Basically, like a General Assembly can't enact a law, like at least in Maryland, saying, hey, you specific municipality, this law we're passing applies to you and only you. Give me like a 3 on that.
I gave you a 4.
Oh, all right. You were kinder to me than I was. That's fine.
What is the form requirement for corporations applying for nonprofit status?
This one's a super arbitrary one. You have to fill out like a specific form. I can't remember the name of the form. And I can't remember how you're supposed to fill it out, but you're supposed to fill out a specific form with specific information. And other than that, it's just a lot of arbitrary specifics.
All right. So a 501c3 organization meets the notice requirements by filing an application for recognition of exemption on IRS Form 1023 within 27 months from the end of the month in which it was organized.
Great. Give me a 2, because, I mean, like, to be perfectly honest, I got the gist of it, but I know that I'll need to eventually learn the, well, I mean, like, most people don't need, most nonprofit lawyers probably don't know the specifics. I just do extra, because I want to know this shit. I want to implant it into my brain, into my brainstem.
All right. What are the main characteristics of a partnership?
There's 5. Fuck. There's... I have to think about this. Equal division of profits, equal division of losses. There's shared ownership. There's shared decision making. Thank you for the follow. Pass-through taxation. And actually, there's one more. And the fact that it's an independent entity. How is that?
I will say there is a wall of text, so there might have been some things you might have missed, but I
All
feel
right,
like you got the general gist of it.
There should be. All right, so like, I think that
You-
it's one of those things where it's like there's a bulleted title of each section, then there's an explanation.
Yep.
You can just like go to the bulleted title.
So you did nail distinct entity. You got tax treatment correct. I think you might have missed fiduciary duties.
I did. I don't know why. It's such a big part of the course. I guess I just assumed them to be in there. But yeah, fiduciary duties is pretty big.
Other than that, I think you got the general gist of all of them, except
Alright.
for fiduciary.
Give me a 4. Also,
Alright.
thanks for hanging out, fam. Riley is studying tree law. Yes, I am studying tree law. Have you got a cat? I do not have a cat. I'm allergic to cats, unfortunately. Instead, I have Turtle. I have Shelly. In fact, hold on. Hey, Shelly, come over here. Shelly's in the water, so I have to make sure that Shelly is not gonna drip onto me. Ah, Shelly's dripping onto me. Crap. Never mind. Back in the water. Don't like it. I'm allergic to cats too. I have 2. Great. But yeah. Oh, what's happening here? Oh, we're in this dungeon. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Shelly, listen, eventually I will get Shelly Cam. I'll make it happen. It's basically my next 3 investments. I'm thinking, I did realize there is one more thing I need for stream. It's animated stream transitions. So I need to get those, probably from the same artist I used before, and that probably won't be too big of an ordeal. So I need those, the new microphone, and then yeah, then listen, we will make Shelly Cam happen. And that'll probably be after the next, like this next Patreon, like some point in this next month, right? Because I get about, I'm getting upwards of, I think I'm at like 370 for Patreon, and I'm up around 400. It's actually like pretty substantial for Twitch. So thank you for everyone who supports me on there. It actually makes a lot of what I do on here very possible, as far as upgrades and whatnot. But yeah, I'll be able to get a lot of stuff after this next month. The SMB symbol sounds good. So good for... Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. Because I didn't think that a mic would make so much of a difference, but like every person I've seen using it, it seems like night and day difference. I've yet to experience Shelly eventually. Anyway, I'm sorry. I keep getting distracted. Although, I mean, like, it is good for me to talk to y'all. I don't want it to just be me reading. Dylan Burns, the stream chat. Hey, what's happening, Dylan? How you doing? How's it vibing? We're just chilling. Welcome to the... Yeah, Pog. I know, right? Anyway. Alright, I think I'm ready for the next one.
Alright. What are the factors that are usually seen in partnership formation?
The factors that are normally seen in partnership formation. Usually you're going to have lack of alternative classification. You're going to have joint enterprise. You're going to have sharing of profits and losses, sharing of work, and management. I think that's most of them. I know I hate these ones because there's always like 5 or 6 factors and I always forget one.
I'll read you the list here. So the agreement between the partners, which is required, need not be in writing. The operation of a business for profit, which is required. Act as co-owners, which is required. Subsections I, and III are sharing of profits, rebuttal presumption of partnership, sharing of control management, sharing of ownership of the entity, and finally D, labeling relationship as partnership. Probative, but not dispositive.
Give me like a 3. That one's gonna be, like, I know that's one of those bitch questions. Like it's just really hard. But I'll get it eventually.
All right. What constitutes a discriminatory purpose in order for a plaintiff to get a facially race-neutral law to receive strict scrutiny?
Discriminatory purpose. One which is intended to cause disparate treatment, even if a law otherwise does not specify race. Was it way off? Like with like 14th Amendment jurisprudence is super. Help me, someone free me. Oh god. Oh no, my team doesn't know what to do. Fuck me. Oh no, they don't know to free me. God damn it.
So,
thank you. Okay, I'm good. I'm sorry. There's something happening in game that is just really unfortunate. I hate mechanics in these kind of games where you literally cannot do anything if your teammates have no idea what to do. Just hopping in because I finally have some free time in a few minutes and, you know, wanted to talk Maryland politics, so I thought I would offer up some time. And, you know, I wanted to talk Maryland politics. Oh, shit. So listen, I'm not sure if I have the time to do that tonight because I have to get through these flashcards. I mean, I don't know. If you want to talk politics for a little bit, we can. It just means I have to push back some of my studying, so I might be up for a while. But if there's something specific you want to talk about, we can talk about it. I don't have anything specific. I mean, like, there's some drama about... Actually, you know what? I would be interested in hearing just, like, about, like, the Maryland political landscape generally, because I'm still getting a handle on it. I've met a lot of, like, major political actors, but I could definitely stand to learn what you know about. So, yeah, if you want to talk about it, then, yeah, I'm more than happy to. Just hop into the, the waiting room in stream chat. Now, before that happens, let's get through some more flashcards.
Yep. So we were just going to explain discriminatory purpose.
Oh.
So it implies more than intent as volition or intent as awareness of consequences. It implies that the decision maker selected or reaffirmed a particular course of action, at least in part because of, not merely in spite of, its adverse effects upon an identifiable group.
Can you repeat that again? I think I got it, but I just need to hear it again.
Yep. So it implies more than intent as volition or intent as awareness of consequences. It implies that the decision maker selected or reaffirmed a particular course of action, at least in part of, because of, not merely in spite of, its adverse effects upon an identifiable group.
Okay, so like there had to be some affirmative intent to cause a disparate treatment of a protected group. Okay, that makes sense. And you can give me a... I think I actually got that very wrong, so you can give me a 2.
Okay. What was the ruling from Keys versus School District number 1?
This is a disparate treatment one. I cannot remember. I know it has to do with disparate treatment, I know that much, but I can't remember specifically what it was.
So, if there is a proof of segregative intent in part of the district, shifts the burden of proof to the state to prove that absent segregative intent, there would not have been single-race schools.
Okay, I gotcha. So it has specifically to do with schools. All right. I'm going to hop in and talk to Dylan for a bit. If you want to hang around, that's cool. If not, I totally get it. You don't have to, like, wait here. Yeah, I see you, Dylan. I see you. I'm hopping over. But yeah, so Manic, if you want to hang around, then I'll be back in a bit. If not, it's totally cool. And thank you so much for helping me out.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Talk to you later. What's up, Dylan?
Hey, how's it going?
Going all right. Just chilling, vibing, dealing with a lot of work. I don't know. By the way, can I ask you, what do you do aside from streaming? Like, what's your regular day-to-day job, or are you a student, or like, what are you up to?
I work as a political consultant for 21st Century Democrats, which is a Democratic political PAC, which raises money and gives money to and helps win progressive Democrats across the country. I also I do some stuff with the local Our Revolution chapter. I'm managing a school board campaign. That's about everything, right? Oh, and I'm also a city board member.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm on the environmental board for my city. Yeah.
Damn, that's awesome. All right, so you're involved in a lot right now. That's crazy cool.
Yeah, I just finished a bunch of other like campaign stuff. Like the last year has been just a hustle.
Well, talk to me about it. Has it been like mostly like Maryland focused, or has it been like more national?
It's been a combination. So my first like foray into everything was I was still in high school, and I did two things. Number one, I studied international law at the University of Maryland. I was not international law, international relations. It's totally different. I'm not a lawyer. I studied that at the University of Maryland as kind of like a course. I did well enough that I could go study there while still going to high school. I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot there, and I did that because in middle school, like, I got a deep love of like foreign policy through following the Syrian civil war day by day by using live maps, which are like maps of conflict that, like, every day I would check in and see how the map moved and how the battles and conflict changes and all the forces and the splitting off was super interesting to me. So I did that, and shortly following that, I applied for the PAGE program, which I recommend for anybody who's like in high school in Maryland and wants to get involved, or really anywhere, and wants to get involved in politics, because through that I got in contact with so many state legislators and I got a ton of crazy stories and experiences that while I was there.
What specifically is that, if you don't mind me asking? I haven't heard of it.
The PAGE program basically is this thing where people apply from all over the state, and for every like county and area, a certain amount of students are chosen to go work in the Maryland General Assembly as a page and sit in the Maryland General Assembly or Senate. Well, I mean, like the like delegates, where the delegates hang out and where the senators hang out, and kind of just work with them and like do what needs to be done with handing out paperwork, and you watch proceedings, and then afterwards you have free time to go talk and learn with like professionals about Maryland politics. And I used a lot of that time to talk to my representatives and talk to representatives about legislation that I was interested in and that was going through the House. And I did that to meet my representative, my senator, who was Jim Rosapep, who I still actually help a lot with 21st Century Democrats, and I actually helped him with the 21st District. He was also the ambassador to Romania at one point.
Oh, wow.
And I also met Delegate Pena Melenyek, who ran for Congress against, what's his name? He ran for governor. He ran for governor against Hogan and lost. How am I forgetting his name? Not Ben Jealous, the one before Ben Jealous. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't. I'm new to Maryland.
2016 gubernatorial election, Maryland. I don't remember his name. Give me a second. 2014. Oh yeah, Anthony Brown. Anthony Brown.
I think I've heard that name. Yeah.
Yeah, she ran against Anthony Brown for Congress. And she actually got me in contact with a labor union, and I did kind of like union stuff for a while with 1199 SEIU, which is local healthcare workers labor union. I learned a lot there. I did data management for them. I went to a lot of like worker like protests and strikes and stuff, and I really enjoyed my time there. I learned a lot, and I started doing work for the Mike Gravel campaign, which was great. I managed the state campaign. Well, originally I was deputy state director, then I became state director, and then deputy regional director, meaning I basically helped manage all of the East Coast when it came to the campaign.
That's absolutely amazing.
Thank you. I never take compliments well.
I know the feeling.
Yeah.
No, I totally get it.
So I did that. We made videos, we made content. I used that to get in contact with local like DSA orgs and other organizations. I tried to leverage the movement to help save a local worker co-op by trying to bring attention to it, which was at the University of Maryland, a local worker co-op there that was there for over 45 years. Sadly, it was shut down. I used it to bring attention to the privatization of the Johns Hopkins police force. I actually, when I was in the General Assembly, I remember it was dumb. And I sent you a video a while ago, and in it, Brian Kramer, who I worked with there, talks about how I was a page, and I was so angry that I just started, I'm not gonna say yelling, but talking loudly towards the, I think it was the chairman of proceeding, I forget the exact title, who was in support of it, and I probably spoke out of line. I'm very lucky that I didn't get in a lot of trouble for that, but I tried to leverage the Mike Gravel campaign to work with that. Shortly after that, with my experience from the Mike Gravel campaign, and since I studied, international relations, the Michaela Wilkes campaign for Congress called me, and they were interested in me advising them on foreign policy, so I did. And then shortly after, I also advised State Senator Jill Carter, who I had immense respect for because she stood up against the privatization of the Johns Hopkins police force, and she also wanted me to be her foreign policy advisor. I know her campaign manager, who's currently running for delegate, Richard Elliott, very well. We go way back. Yeah, and that's most of it. Oh, I also managed my city's a mayoral campaign in my city to an 80% vote ratio victory in a three-way race. I also did that. So that's most of what I've done. Yeah.
That's most of it. Hold on, quick follow-up. How old are you again?
I'm 19.
You're 19?
Yes.
Well, hey, congratulations. I mean, obviously, you know, that's absolutely amazing, everything that you've done. So let me ask you, just because, you know, I'm talking from the perspective of someone, I'm relatively new to Maryland. I mean, like, I'm starting to get to know a decent amount of Maryland legislators. Like, for example, right now I'm taking legislation at the University of Maryland. I don't know if
Wait,
wait,
are you dormed at the University of Maryland?
I'm not dormed at the University of Maryland now.
Do you know the mayor of the city that it's in?
Wait, no, sorry. The law school is in Baltimore City.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
sorry.
we're not out in College Park, or I'm not. in College Park.
College Park is where I live. That's the mayor. I organized this campaign.
Oh,
mayor
that's so cool. Yeah. No, I do not. I think what am I, like an hour out from College Park? God,
well, if you ever come by College Park, I'd love to like go talk to you sometimes about politics. Tell you
yeah,
everything.
totally.
I'd love to.
Yeah, no, that'd be amazing. God, everyone lives on the East Coast is what I'm finding out. I mean, like, definitely the good decision when I was moving, right? I mean, like, staying in the South probably would not have worked out well for me. In all
Prince
hindsight.
George is best county, though, so I'm
Prince
sorry
George?
you don't. Prince George. Gorgeous Prince George's.
Oh my God, I have heard this multiple times. Oh no, I'm gonna be insta-killed. This is unfortunate. Yeah, I've heard that a couple times, but I have no association with what that means or if that carries any significance. Like, what is it? Kind of like the joke that like Prince George's is like the pompous asshole area, or what is it?
No, that's where I live. What do you mean?
I'm sorry. Every time I hear about it, it sounds like it's the rich white people pompous asshole area.
Prince George's is like one of the blackest counties in the state. I think it is the blackest county in the state of Maryland, actually.
Okay, then maybe I'm confusing it for something else. I don't know.
The exact opposite of what you said.
Okay, then never mind. Scratch everything I just said. As I said, I am learning. But yeah, so like right now I'm taking legislation, and I'm working, like one of the people who teaches my class. Are you familiar with the delegate Sandy Rosenberg?
Delegate Sandy Rosenberg. No, I specifically worked in the Senate, so I know a lot more.
Oh, you worked in the Senate. All right. Well then, someone else. All right. So like the other day, so like yeah, Delegate Rosenberg is one of the people teaching my class. He's had a lot of people from the Maryland legislature there. Like for example, just this past week, it was actually really cool because so basically for legislation, you draft a bill. I used some of the research that I did this past summer with the Maryland Attorney General's office to basically draft a use of force bill. And it was actually really cool because way back in the summer, the basis, like the starting point of my research was, so are you familiar with Senator Will Smith?
Oh yeah, I'm familiar with Will Smith, yes.
Yeah. So it was actually like he wrote a letter on police use of force, kind of like setting out the agenda of what he would like to see for a police use of force bill, like earlier this summer. And that was like the basis for my research. And then, surprise, surprise, when I'm presenting my use of force bill later on this semester in class, who else would be the guest who saw me do that presentation but Senator Will Smith?
Wow.
Yeah. So that was actually really cool, and he was a super. I don't know. It's just like very poetic.
You know Gabriel Azario?
I don't, but I know about him, and he's someone who I've really wanted to meet because he seems like he has good politics.
So I interviewed him on my YouTube channel actually about specifically this specific issue.
Oh, really? How'd that go over?
It went well. We talked about the police officers' Bill of Rights. We talked about specifically the legislation that he is trying to push through that actually has to do with like standardizing use of force across the state of Maryland. Anton's Law specifically.
Yeah.
So creating the civilian review board and more police transparency. It was a great interview. I wish it got more attention than it did, but of course, like Maryland is one state, and most people who watch my content are unfamiliar with my local politics.
Yeah, no, trust me, I get that. And that's something that I've been struggling a little bit more too, right? Because I do like talking about Maryland politics, but unfortunately there's just not like a lot of like wide, because like we're on the internet, we got to appeal to as wide of a political audience as possible. So there's just like, there's not really much of an incentive there. Now streaming, I don't know, like I think that like basically having it as like a side thing to do, I think that there could be something said there, right? Like if you do your regular content, then you have like a stream where you discuss Maryland politics like on the side, which is kind of what I would like to go for. But I still have yet to figure out, because I would like it to be more regular, because I also just need to get plugged into like local news, and I need to be better about keeping up with everything that's, I mean, like I've got a decent grasp on everything that's happening around here, but I want to be able to get better.
I remember a while ago, me, Richard Elliott, who, one of my best friends, really extremely knowledgeable person, has got me in contact with a lot of people, and almost the felon Jake Burdett, and that's he worked with me on the Mike Gravel campaign. He was my deputy director once I became state director. And funny story about him, he Andy Raskin, not Andy Raskin, what's his name, Andy Harris.
No, I do not.
Andy Harris, he's the Republican Maryland congressman.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, so Jake Burdett went and like did this like pro-weed protest at his office, and he recorded it because it was in a public building. And Andy Harris used some ancient like wiretap law in Maryland to almost like make him a felon and give him prison time. It was
Are you serious?
Yeah, because he recorded him while he was protesting about weed. So that's, yeah, the Maryland Republican Party really has their priorities in order.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, like the thing is that I don't know as much, but I mean, because like they don't really have that much power in the state of Maryland for what I can see, right? I mean, like it's an overwhelmingly, I mean, like sure they have like the governor, right? But
yeah.
I mean, like otherwise, as far as like the House and Senate, I mean, like it's overwhelmingly Democrat, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, there's not a whole lot that they're able to do. I mean, like there's still some things, but like comparatively, they just really don't have that much of a position of power.
Yeah, and I'd like to keep it that way. If anything, I would like to extend it. First, we need the biggest priority for me. I mean, and I think this should be for anybody, is removing Larry Hogan, or well, at this point that's impossible. We just have to wait for his term to run out and like replacing him with a Democrat. I think the fact that Ben Jealous didn't get the support that he was needed in in the last election was a travesty. He was an amazing candidate, an amazing guy, and I'm sad there was not as much unity around him.
So tell me how, like, because I wasn't here when Larry Hogan was elected. So like, how did that happen? Because I mean, I see him. It's funny because like I worked for Brian Frosh, and I see like him and Larry Hogan get into it on Twitter. And like Hogan, I don't know, the other day he was either very serious or heavy quotations joking about filling out his dead grandparents' ballots and mailing them in for Trump 2020. Very funny, very hashtag peak of comedy, Yeah. And him and like Brian Frosh got into it, and I'm like,
have you seen any of the audio of like Hogan talking about Trump or to Trump behind closed doors?
No.
He's just so like, Trump, you're the greatest, you're the best. I agree with everything you just said about these evil rioters. It's like, it's like the most.
How did he get elected here?
And then anytime you ask him to take a stand on something, to show any principle about or just be like, who are you voting for this election? Well, it's a tough race, and there's a lot of people running, and
Just dances around it, yeah. All right,
of course,
yeah,
he can't say Donald Trump, because if he does, the moderates will be like, Donald Trump's the one who said the bomb those civilians of terrorists, but Donald Trump's the rapist criminals person. He said that. If he says the Democrat, then his Republican base, which he relied on to win, then they ditch him. So he's kind of always run this fine line. So what he says is that he kind of went in on a purple wave of Republicans and Democrats together, getting the unity to see past politics and see past partisan politics to vote for the moderate, respectable guy. And for whatever reason, even though I'd like to call bullshit, I can't really, on the point of him being moderate and respectable, I can't call bullshit. He's calling for mandatory minimum sentences, or his recent book where he talked about that person who died in the back of a police car, calling him I think he called him like a thug. I forget, I'd have to go back and check. Or him taking money from toll companies before approving of massive private partnership agreements to build new toll roads on highways, and I mean the corruption is just so evident. Or his unconstitutional orders on BDS to completely violate the First Amendment. There's a million things that go into why.
Sorry, what was that?
BDS, it's the boycott, divest, and sanctions movement around Israel, which while I don't personally support, I believe anybody should have the right to say I don't want to spend like my money on any certain country's goods because I believe in free speech, even if I don't agree with them. And he, wanting to be as the most pro-Israel as possible, he made it so that private companies would not get contracts with the government if they would not sign a document saying that they would not boycott Israel.
Oh wow.
Which is and has been ruled on multiple, I think in some states similar cases have been ruled unconstitutional when it comes to free speech issues, because like boycotting is a fundamental right of every American, is covered by free speech. But I don't want to get too much into it. During the Micro Vote campaign, we produced a ton of advertisement material around these issues. And again, in the video I sent you a while ago, I think it covers it a little bit. The person who made that short doc on me.
I will watch it. And just resend it to me because I do want to watch it on stream actually. Because I'm really interested. I was talking to someone else recently. Someone who's actually usually in chat, like in chat pretty often, who did a lot of work. He had interned in Congress, and he has a lot of connections to Congress, and I've actually been talking to him and like trying to, he's just been spamming me like all of these job applications for like these different positions over there. So it's been really cool having him. So I really do appreciate being able to talk and learn more about people, especially people who are in the community who have like a lot of connections and like nearby politics. So yeah, no, I'll definitely want to watch that. I just have been so swamped, like holy shit.
So I sent you the video, but basically what he said is true. He got convinced enough Democrats that he was moderate and not partisan and all these other things enough to the point where they voted for them because they saw him as the reasonable Republican. He is one of the most popular governors in the country.
Really?
Yes, he is.
Oh my God. Like, how is that possible?
People just see the smiling face. They just see that smiling face in front of these policies, and they're like, "Well, look how nice he is. The purple wave. He seems like such a good guy." A lot of people, some of it I would have to say in other locations because it's uncouth of me. But they just see like a really smiling, moderate type person.
So it's just that, it's just aesthetics.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's aesthetics. I don't think they see the policies or the mandatory minimum sentencing or what he wrote about or in his book or the money he takes from toll road companies or the unconstitutional executive orders, or that isn't seen. What they see is the smiling face and the fact that in Maryland, we're not in complete economic catastrophe and we're not one of the bottom like COVID states. So that's another thing that I guess people would give Hogan a thumbs up for.
Which is definitely entirely attributable to him.
Yeah, most certainly.
Yeah, without question. Yeah, definitely. It's interesting because I mean, like, it is very hard for me to see like how like coming in. I kind of like obviously I came in. I'm like, oh, we have pretty progressive legislature, very overwhelmingly Democrat, pretty progressive state. As long as, mind you, like from what I hear, it's mainly like as long as you stick to like, I think it's like essentially Baltimore, Annapolis, maybe Ocean City, and like certain parts of the state, then you'll be fine. But otherwise, once you get into the country, then it gets like a little dicey.
Yes, Cecil County is what I got some good stories.
all right. Hey, let's hear it.
Okay, so I heard a lot of things when I was working in the Maryland General Assembly, and for whatever reason, I guess Republicans would just think since I was a nice white face sitting next to them and my job was to get their coffee, I wasn't listening, or since I wasn't talking, I wasn't listening. But I was always listening. I was always listening to whatever anybody's saying. I would purposefully lean in when people were having a conversation I couldn't hear. And I would hear them. It was like blatant almost. Like immediately when they got set in like the Republican section, they just set off like, man, it was in 2018. It was, man, that's blue wave, man. Man, I was scared a woman was going to run against me for a second.
I'm sorry, what?
I was fucking just sitting there like, what the fuck? He was like, don't worry though. They came to their senses.
Wow. All right then.
And that's one story. Another story is I remember I was with some Cecil County peoples, and I was talking to. I don't want to get into specifics because I don't need to start all this shit.
Yeah,
but
you're all good. You're all good.
there was a legislator, and they saw me and another other white people, and what they saw was me, and a bunch of white people, and I said PG, which stands for Prince George's County, which is where I'm from. And for this to make sense again, Prince George's County is a black county. It's mostly black.
Okay.
And I said PG, which a lot of people, not really most people, but there's some people who work in politics in Prince George's who don't like hearing PG. Most Prince George's people, like I've said PG for so long, is just a quick way to say it, that it doesn't mean anything, but a lot of people see it as a way to diminish the county, because a lot of people have always looked down on Prince George's because there's so many black people here, to be blatantly honest. And so I said PG because since I'm from Prince George's County, that's just always how I heard it coming up. I didn't even know the history until I went to work in Maryland General Assembly. And he was like, PG, you're not supposed to say that. You piss off the Prince George's people. But you know what the PG stands for? I was like, what? Pretty ghetto.
Are you goddamn serious?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's not a pleasant experience.
No, I can imagine it's the opposite of a pleasant experience. That would be a bad time, in I think most people's books, right? God, it is really interesting because I mean, like, especially, I don't know, I feel like this is something in like an interesting observation for me, right? Especially coming from the South, because like before I lived here for, you know, the past 5 years, I lived down in Tennessee and for a bit in Arkansas, right? And I mean, like, oh hey, thanks for the raid, Clara. I have no idea how to pronounce your name, but thank you, I appreciate it. So I mean, like, it was interesting for me, right? Because I mean, like, as long as you stay in like pretty like as long as you stay in like Memphis, and Nashville is pretty bad. Like Memphis is pretty good as far as its politics goes, right? To be perfectly honest. Like on the whole, compared to like surrounding areas, it's pretty decent. But obviously, like, do not leave the city, especially if you are queer or if you are not white. It's a bad time. When I was moving up here, I mean, like, the entire idea was, okay, I'm going to move up to, like, the East Coast. I'm going to get away from this so I can move to an area where I'm not going to encounter that. And, you know, things will hopefully not be as racist and the other bad things. And I was, like, slightly...
I got a story for... Ooh. Here's something for you. A few months after this happened, and I still knew some people who were working in the PAGE program. I had earlier things. Some people were renewed for the later period. It was like February or something. And there was Delegate Mary Ann, I think it's Listani or whatever. I never interacted with her, but she referred to my county as the N-word county.
No.
At a
No. No. What was it? Just like at a bar, like at a casual like gathering or whatever?
It was, yeah, I believe so.
God damn. People. This is, I'm sorry. Also, wait, what year did you say that this was?
This was last year.
This was last year?
Yes.
Oh my god. You know, it really bothers me because, like, every now and again, I'll talk to my parents at home, right? My parents are pretty, like, hashtag enlightened centrist, right? To give you an idea of, I mean, like, I say that in the most endearing way, also because I know that they watch me.
By the way,
which is,
she is a Democrat.
she's a Democrat?
She's from Harford County.
Are you goddamn
County? She's a Harford County Democrat.
Oh my god.
She got censored, I believe.
Well, yeah, understandably. God damn it. I mean, it's really interesting because, like, so essentially I come from a small town in Ohio where...
She also didn't resign, by the way. She's still in office.
She's still in office?!
She's still in office.
I'm going to lose my absolute goddamn shit. I'm going to lose my absolute goddamn shit. You can't tell me this, all right? I was planning on like either, like there's a good chance I'll be able to intern for the Maryland legislature next semester. Since like the class that I'm doing right now specifically is like a pipeline to doing clerkships over there or like externships for law students, right? Because fortunately, University of Maryland is like the when you are one of 2 law schools in the state of Maryland, it's very easy to get jobs, and when we happen to be the better of the 2, it's even easier. But yeah, so I mean, like, I was planning on going over there, but God, this is making me slightly depressed about that. Fuck me. But no, I mean, like, it's interesting because, like, or sorry, were you gonna say something?
Well, I mean, like, racism's still like an issue here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an issue.
That's just then.
But...
Well, yeah, I mean, like, it's just very interesting. The point I was getting to was that because I come from a family which it's to I'm gonna describe a type of person, and you can tell me if this is something that you are familiar with, or like if it's a generalization that you can see on other people, right? Generally, like, my family and people from my hometown are the kind of people who grew up in an area where there wasn't really any kind of meaningful diversity. In the town, there was the 1 or 2, like in the high school that I grew up in, there was like the 1 or 2 black kids in every grade. Gay people were still very much in the closet or ridiculed if they weren't. And for the most part, like, national politics didn't really touch the hometown in any meaningful way, right? And so a lot of the people in the town basically think, like, whenever you bring up something like racism, right, they essentially have the thought of, oh, racism, you mean that thing that we got rid of in the Civil War, right? That thing that definitely doesn't exist anymore.
We shot. What happened was we fought the Civil War, and what happened is we shot the last racist, and then they gave up.
It's true, yeah, and then there were no more racists. We actually we got rid of all of them and all of the racism. We did. Yeah, like, America be racist? What? We're in the North. We're in Ohio. What? We were on the winning side of that conflict. And so essentially, whenever I talk to them nowadays about, like, oh yeah, racism is still a thing, like, they're the kind of people who are almost, like, shocked, right? And especially when I pointed out that, like, actually, you know, some of us have, like, racist ways of thinking. Actually, like, I'll say it bluntly, right? Like, there are some people in my hometown who, for lack of a better term, will use the N-word jokingly, ironically, because it's totally funny. It's totally funny. But because they are so isolated, like, there's such a lack of diversity in the town that, like, people who say, like, there's no real, like, it might bother people a little bit, but no one's going to get bent out of shape about it because there's no, like, there's so little, like, self-awareness in the town, right? Not saying that people there are, like, generally bad people, but they're just, like, very, what's a good way to be able to put it? If I did not move away from that town, and I knew I needed to move away because I knew that my perspective was very limited being there, I knew that essentially I would remain in this hashtag enlightened centrism. Oh, you know, but there are some decent bits on both sides. You know, people, I hear BLM, this thing vaguely in the country. They say that racism is still a thing, but, like, honestly, it doesn't really seem to be that big of a thing. I mean, I've never been pulled over because of my skin color. And I mean, like, honestly, don't all lives matter? I mean, like, my life matters too, right? Like, I think it should really be all life. Like, this is exactly how that mentality develops, you know?
Hell yeah, brother.
Oh yeah, 100%. And so, like, it's and so it's very hard. I mean, like, I'm constantly talking to them. Fortunately, I have a good relationship with them and a lot of people from my hometown, and I do my best to try and maintain a hold on that and do my best to try and, you know, like, help out and help them improve to the extent I'm able to. And to their credit, I mean, like, again, I have no idea why or how, but apparently everyone in my family watches me, and they don't criticize what I say. That's never something that happens. They just listen to me in the car. Like, honestly, I heard someone say, I think actually Destiny said this the other day. It's like, honestly, the easiest way to convince someone of their, like, against their own views is just to be their friend first, and eventually it'll just kind of naturally follow if you're consistent.
Yeah, that's why I'm always trying to be more diplomatic before I take a more aggressive tone towards people online. It's part of the reason why I'm able to host the panel shows, because I don't just come in just, like, dropping fucking elbows on conservatives.
That probably, no, I mean, like, and I'll say this, right? No, I do appreciate that. I tend, like, and I don't know, like, I'm still thinking about this, right? Like, I saw, like, Vosh and Tim Pool the other day, and I was expecting most of it, like, I had the expectation of Vosh basically going in and just start dropping elbows And I mean, like, there was a bit of a tussle in there, but I mean, like, for the most part, it was diplomatic. And actually, I don't know, I'm really digging some of these responses from Tim Pool on Twitter lately.
It's all those
actually
people angry that he was brought on.
Yeah, and he's actually like, I'll bring him on again. Fuck you. I really enjoyed the I really enjoyed the conversation. I'll do it again. Like some of the interactions between like him and Carolyn Borisenko have been amazing. Just very perfect. And yeah.
I grew up in Prince George's. Well, I've already said this a million times.
Yeah.
I grew up, so I was like, usually I was the only white kid in my class, right? So racism and hearing stories of racism, it was like the entirety of the Black Lives Matter movement when this kicked off. Anytime a discussion would happen in class, it was said a million fucking times, right? Like a million fucking, I mean like examples, what I meant. Like there's a million examples of people saying I was followed in a store, or when I was pulled over, or how scared I am when I interact with police. And so this was something that was just like very evident to me that this was an issue, right?
Sure.
And so like I think by the time I left high school, like this idea that this wasn't an issue seems like a ridiculous thing to me, because it's something that I heard about like every day from everybody I went to school with, right? Yeah, from people who were my friends to people who weren't my friends. It was like almost a consistent thing.
Right.
So it was always bizarre to me to think that. I remember once I went to West Virginia to a festival, and I was just blown away by how many white people there are in the world, because I just wasn't. I was just so blown away. But I could see maybe if I was in that environment, I wouldn't hear about that type of stuff as much, and I could maybe not. But like again, that's not the environment I grew up in. So by the time I left high school, I was pretty set and like, yeah, this is an issue. This is very obviously an issue, and something has to be done about it. And it was sometimes, you know, there was. And you would see how the classroom changed due to the political environment of the protests, or when Trump got elected, or when this happened. You would see like kind of like different like how do I say it? Moods, different moods in the classroom. It really the movement heavily affected what was talked about in the classroom. Sure. And the general mood of the students, because it, you know, it is something that affected their day-to-day life.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, that makes sense. I mean, I didn't grow up in nearly that environment. And I mean, I feel decently, I don't know. Again, like, I do think that a lot of how I am nowadays is purely a product of luck and circumstance, right? And so usually I do try to be charitable with people. Like, I understand that people can be, like, products of circumstances, and there's some element of luck in all of that, right? Like, for me, like, if not for the fact... I mean, like, one of them is that I was in the closet, right? And, like, that did have a pretty substantive effect on me when I was younger. It made me a lot more compassionate and, like, a lot more... It did force me to kind of take a much more empathetic approach to other people, especially other people who felt more isolated from people around me. But even beyond that, like, if I did not go to school... Like, if I did not leave Ohio, and most of the people who I graduated with, like, it wasn't, like, a big, like, fancy private school or whatever. Like, I went to, like, a small... like less than 100 people in my graduating class, like public high school, you know, like most of the people who I graduated with went to like one of a handful of state colleges, or didn't go to college at all, right, and just stayed in the hometown. You know, I was by and large the exception, by not only going to college but also going to college as far out of state as I did, down in Memphis. And like, a lot of people, I think, like, might look at that decision like, Riley, why would you leave the Midwest to go and study, like, go to undergrad in Memphis? But honestly, looking back on it, I thought it was one of my best life decisions, just because, like, and the logic is kind of, like, I'll get there, like, the logic ties back into what we were talking about, right? Like, to be perfectly honest, the racial tension down there is so thick, you can cut it with a knife, right? Like, it is so thick. Like, every, like, when I was working as a program director for the homeless outreach nonprofit, overwhelmingly, almost everyone that came to us was Black, right? Like, every person who was homeless, every person who was experiencing, like, drug addiction or, like, some serious issue, like, it was just, like, the overlap between poverty and color was almost, like entirely, like they're almost entirely one and the same, to the point where like anyone who did not fit, like anyone who wasn't white coming to us would be like an exception, and usually the situation wouldn't be nearly as dire, right? Like there was one time where a kid came to us who was a queer kid who had to escape his family, and he was like, whereas it might be like a serious, you know, like whereas it might be like a serious issue helping someone get into housing who may have been black, who also may have had like some mental health issues, or may have been in prison, or may have had offense. And a lot of these tend to compile onto each other really quickly, right? It's like you get one and they just kind of snowball because it, like, I don't know, like it's just something that tends to like happen to, like, if you're homeless, it becomes easier to get addicted. It becomes easier to end up with a felon. It becomes easier to serve time in prison. And after you've served time in prison once, it becomes easier to do it again, right? And statistically speaking, like at every point along the way, it's just easier or more likely that you end up in those kind of situations by virtue of like your race or your skin color. So not only was it easier to deal with people, to like help people meaningfully who weren't black who came to us, but also they were just a rarity. Right. Intersectionality. Yeah, there you go. That's the intersectionality argument, except dealing with it in person is a lot more depressing because eventually, like, I think that the hardest thing I've ever dealt with, I'm sorry, this is such a tangent now, but I mean, like the hardest thing that I ever observed, right? Because like there are solutions to most of these things, right? You know, there are therapy programs that you can get people into if you have, like, if you know the odds and ends, like the tricks of the various social programs in the city, then you can be able to find someone emergency housing in a pretty quick turnaround, sometimes with exception. Depends on, you know, things like if you have someone who's like a single mother, it can be a lot easier. If you have someone who is willing to call 911 and say that they're going to take their life and just kind of lie to the feds or lie to whoever picks up, then that'll usually guarantee you a place pretty quickly. You know, but the thing that was hardest for me was always the fact that, like, a lot of people who end up in these situations just kind of get to the point where there's usually, and I don't know how to describe, well, I mean, like, there's a way to describe this. It's called, like, the other species theory. But essentially get to the point where they start seeing anyone who does not, like, come from the same situation as them as, like, a different category of persons entirely. And so not only does it make it incredibly hard to work with people like that because they fundamentally don't trust you, but also they've almost like cemented in their mind the idea that, like, oh, the way that my life is right now, it's just by virtue of how I am, and there's nothing I could meaningfully do to change it, right? And it really, it sucks, you know? It's like the hardest thing to overcome when you're working with people who are in poverty. It can be done. Like, there are ways to be able to overcome it, but it's just incredibly difficult. But yeah, so I mean, like, when we're talking about, like, bringing it back in, I wouldn't have experienced any of that if I didn't go to the South, and I feel like it was super important for me to be able to get that perspective and share it to whatever extent I'm able to with people who don't have it. I'm sorry, that was very long.
It's okay.
It's almost like I'm a streamer or something. I don't know.
Ugh,
Weird.
that screamer, fucking gross.
I know, right? Absolutely massive cringe. Don't recommend it to people. It's a generally bad life decision. It's weird because, like, before earlier tonight, I was coaching my mock trial team, and it's kind of weird because, like, I have to bring this up because now, like, the people who I work with, like, now it's gotten to the point where, you know, like, people who are, like, generally people in my life know that I do this, and so, like, it's just kind of weird to, I mean, like, most of the kids, and, like, there are some kids on the team who know, like, Twitch culture, and so I'll just, like, be like, oh, that's Pog, and they'll be like, oh my god, Riley, and I'll be like, all right, whatever, you know, it comes with the package, right?
She said the word, oh my god, she said the word.
I said the word, yeah. But yeah, so let me ask you, just in your opinion, because I'm trying to figure out, so maybe to bring this back into, like, Maryland politics, since we've gotten away from that for a good while. I'm trying to figure out, like, who, like, are the main politicians that I should be looking to support or follow. I mean, I really like Will Smith. I obviously, like, I did a lot of my research this summer based on, like, the policies I did. I follow the Attorney General. I follow some people in the House of Delegates who I'm familiar with. Who are some other people? Oh, obviously, Oh, Gabriel Acevero.
Yep. Another one would be Devon, I think his name is. What's his name? How to pronounce his name? I forget. He's this white guy that I'm trying to remember how to pronounce his name, but I know he's really popular in Moco. Give me a second. On Maryland General Assembly. So I'll tell you about senators you should support first then.
Yeah, go for it.
State Senator Jill Carter. She's wonderful. She's been really good on issues concerning lead and policing, and she ran for Congress and did pretty well in the congressional race. So I think she has a really good future. Mary Washington is another senator that you should be pretty supportive of. She's a pretty new senator, but she's taken a lot of pretty decent moral stances. One of the better examples I would give would be the recent stance on the privatization of the police force when it comes to Johns Hopkins University, which I was very impressed by her stance on that, because it was getting pushed through the legislature due to this idea of local courtesy, that the local people, the local 3 out of 5 supported it and 2 out of 5 didn't, so they were just going to let it go through. But my argument and response would be that this could set precedent. The delegate I remembered, his name is Vaughn Stewart. I'll send you his name because it's kind of weird to spell.
Vaughn Stewart. I might
I'll
get
send
it.
it to you.
All right.
There you go. Sent it to you. Vaughn Stewart, he's a good delegate. Every time I've interacted with him, he's been pretty decent duder. Senator Rosa Pepp is somebody who really knows the arms and legs of how everything works. He really knows the ins and outs, and he's been in Maryland politics for a very long time, and he's also the former ambassador to Romania, so there's your foreign policy fix. He's also somebody I've worked under, and he was the person I talked to the most when I worked in the General Assembly.
Who's that again?
Senator Jim Rosa Pepp.
Jim Rosa, just spell how it's spelled? Rosa.
Yeah, how's it spelled? Rosa Pepe.
Oh, great.
Got
Rosa
it.
Pepe. All right.
Yeah.
People... Wait, what?
He does not have a Twitter.
Oh, unfortunate. All right.
He is older man.
Got you. All right, that's fine. That's adorable. That's fine.
Ronald Young was a senator that I had a lot of very positive interactions with, and he took a very moral stance during the fight for 15. But he's also probably checking out of politics, and he's also an older man, so he has some, older views on certain things.
All right, that's fine. I probably won't follow on.
There is Corey McRae is somebody you should always keep an eye on. Corey McRae seems to be like a rising star. He led the fight on Fight for 15. I've seen him in multiple central committee meetings, leading the room. Anytime I interact with the party, he always somehow seems to be there. Senator Corey McRae. He also follows me on Twitter. Dad.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
check his
awesome.
follow. See it? Yeah, right there. But what else? Who else? Ben Barnes has always been high level. I don't want to. I'll just be quiet. But he's somebody I guess you should pay attention to. Mary Lehman. I have to be quiet. Let me just say.
All right, I will say nothing.
Again, Ben Barnes. There's also here's somebody who was endorsed by Our Revolution. His name is Mary Lehman.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, they're pretty cool, and we text back and forth every once in a while. Pretty cool duder.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's see, Mary Lehman. Wait a second, realtor. No, that's
she's actually she's my rep.
Oh really?
Yeah, I don't know if she has a Twitter. I think she does. She does have a Twitter. That's not her though.
All right, let's see. SB. No, that wouldn't make sense.
It's Lehman, like Leh.
Leh.
Yes.
Like Lehman.
Yes.
Mary
Mary space Lehman.
Yeah, like this. Maryland delegate, white mom, wife, sister. Yeah, that seems to be right.
Yeah, if this Maryland delegate makes sense. If she has a verified check, yep, that's her.
All right, chill.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. I mean, it's, I understand that it's state politics, so a lot of the follows are going to be smaller. But I mean, it's kind of interesting that a lot of these, they are important politicians, right?
I'm actually, I made a social media plan
Oh,
that I'm
really?
actually going around and like possibly selling to like state delegates. I threw it once at Pinya Melenyuk, and she was interested, and she integrated some of the plans at least. And you know, a
Interesting.
lot of them have seen my Twitter in comparison. They're like, "Damn, he must be doing something right." And so now I actually manage the social media for 21st Century Democrats.
Damn. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, no, I mean that's understandable. Wait a second, 24. Am I following 21st Century Democrats? I've been following a ton of 21st Century Democrats. How are they doing? 21st Century Dems?
Yeah, should be something.
Yeah, this one right here.
Yeah, 1 second. Let me look.
Political
Yes,
organization.
that's it. That's it. Yeah, that's the account I manage.
Awesome. Amazing. Yeah,
I
that's
haven't made
super
a post in a
cool.
little bit because I took a break, but I'm gonna start making posts tonight again.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. It's interesting because right now, oh, did I tell you? I mentioned earlier that I was applying for jobs for Congress. Did I mention the one? Because
Yep.
right now I'm going, like, I'm pretty...
Wait. Go check some of their older posts that were made like maybe a week ago. Tell me if I'm posting cringe or not.
Oh, posting cringe or not? All right,
Yeah.
October, what does it say? October 19th. This was a good retweet. Pulitzer Prize winner, investigator, David.
Go back behind that. That's just an automatic thing.
Okay.
For the podcast.
October-
A little bit. Go back to October 18th and before should be it, I think.
Okay, let's see. We are 16 days out from the most important election of our life. Let's go through Trump's checklist. Would it be a checklist? I mean, like, this is good. No, like, this is good. Is the checklist, like, a good way to be able to convey? I mean, it sounds like they're like, oh, yeah, he did these things and they're good.
Yeah, these are his accomplishments.
All right, chill. Let's see, Danica. I like retweeting Danica Rome. She tweets often, so I don't have notifications on for her, but I follow her. Early voting has surged 2 point. The voters.
Look, I did not retweet Bastiat. Ignore that.
Are you sure about that? Yeah, I'm like, why is Bastiat on here? What?
Hey,
Screw the socialist who reads off teleprompters. I want to press. Oh my god. Bastiat getting onto it. It's weird seeing like internet political personalities interacting with like
The more I normalize it, the better it's for me.
Oh, hey, listen, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing at all. Trump said I'm good with masks, but the other day it just came out with a statement that 85% of the people who wear masks catch it. They didn't say that. I know the study. Wow, was this before? Hold on, October 16th. Was this before he had COVID?
His town hall.
This is during his town hall.
This
Oh
is
my
after, I
god.
believe.
Oh my god, amazing. That's pretty decent. That's pretty tasteful. CDC tweeted. Let's see. Trump has continued to go after Joe Biden's son, Hunter, for his past struggle with addiction. Millions of Americans struggle with addiction, and many don't win that fight. The Biden family, like other Americans, had to face this reality, mocking this as abhorrent. Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, like, it really, like, I think that Biden kind of hit it pretty good on the head during the debate, right? Yeah. Where it was like, listen, where, you know, Trump kept trying to, like, oh, Hunter, and Biden was like, listen, I'm not here to talk about your family. You're not here to talk about my family. We're here to talk about their family. And then Trump shut up. And I thought I was like, ooh, I thought that was a good Biden moment.
Did you hear my recent announcement?
Oh no, what was it?
I announced I would not be voting for Biden.
Hold on. Wait a second. Hold on.
I
think I did see this. The
conservatives convinced me that Hunter Biden is too bad, so I'll be voting for the other one, Joe.
Yeah. I was like, all right, I saw that. That was today. But yeah, where was it? I saw that.
It's a good tweet.
Yeah, no, that's a good tweet. That's a spicy tweet.
You said it for Friday?
Oh yeah, no, I already voted. I already voted for Biden. And then everyone else blew down ballot for Ohio because
I saw you excited for Friday.
Oh, am I excited for Friday? Oh, I thought you. Wow, I really missed the mark on that. Yeah, it should be fun. I don't know how.
Now, you're gonna love Rob Knorr.
Oh really? I don't think I've ever interacted with him. What's he like?
He in my opinion, he is the best conservative I've ever had for debating. Who's someone who's aggressive, who's someone who knows how to. He's rhetorically good at what he does.
Okay, so
even
actually,
if I disagree with him on basically everything, he's rhetorically good at what he does.
Okay, interesting. I mean, like, it's gonna be like a pretty. I mean, like, fuck, it's literally Trump v. Biden. So you got like elements of things that we've already talked about in there being brought into it. Like, it's a wide net of subjects,
exactly.
Right?
The idea is it's the last one before the election. So we've had so many Hippie to Be podcasts where we're like, well, it's the election special. We should review everything.
Dear
Why
God.
not?
Yeah,
It's
that'll...
also gonna be shorter though, so that's gonna help people too. It's
Oh,
only
it'll be
gonna
shorter?
It's gonna be 2 hours to 2 hours and a half.
Okay. I mean, like,
Instead
I think
of the
that...
usual 3.5.
Yeah, I mean, like 3.5, like by the end of it, I usually, like, at least from my experience, it just, I'm usually out of energy. I don't know. For like consistent, like really intense debate. I think that like right around 2.5 hours is probably my limit. After that, I just kind of taper off. But yeah, so I mean, like that should be fun. Have you been able to find someone to do the, I know that you were talking about finding another person. Did Vadim back out, or what's the deal?
Vadim cannot make it, so I have to find somebody else, or I'd have to kick one of the conservatives, which I've actually been doing more 3v3s with the Hippie Dippy, so that wouldn't be too much. But I talked to the person, and he seems like he really wants to be involved, and if I can get one person kind of like Harkdan or someone kind of century or something like that, if I can get that, then it would be perfectly balanced, because I'd have two pretty lefty people. I'd have you, and I'd have Joe Lewis, who are pretty lefty. I'd have people who are, I don't want to say Destiny is center, but because I think he's still like
Destiny,
like a war,
yeah, like Destiny will
like a
probably,
Warren Democrat, maybe.
yeah. Well, I mean, Destiny, I will, like, here's the thing. Like, I looked at the Twitter of the other lefty that you got. I can't remember what's his name again.
Joe Lewis.
Joe Lewis. I looked at it. I actually think, like, here's my suspicion. I feel like it's gonna be me and Destiny saying vote Biden versus Joe saying Bernie or bust. Like that was a suspicion, because
I don't think he's Bernie or bust, but you know what? If he is, then
well, I just there was a retweet that he did of the initial tweet that you did. I just noticed because I was looking at like the replies to it or the responses, and I think that he actually, no, hold on, we have the internet here. Let's just fucking pull it up.
Yeah, we have the internet. We don't have
yeah,
to
like I'm literally streaming right now. All right, we might like why the hell not? All right, let's see. I retweeted you. It has 2 quote tweets. Let's see. Oh, did he not? Oh, hold on. Wait, I think it was a retweet to this one quote tweet. Yeah, Joe Lewis. So the quote is, "I promise to not shit on white folks on the left ever again. Also me." And then it's like exasperated response, which tells me he's expecting to shit on white folks on the left? Question mark. I don't know how to interpret this. But yeah, so I don't know. Is he talking, like, does he have some beef with Destiny? Does he have some beef with me? Have I pissed someone off and I didn't even know it?
Let me see it on stream. Let me look at your stream quick.
Yeah.
I promise to not shit on the white folk on the left ever again. Also me. He made this like thing where he wants to be more diplomatic or something, but then he's also coming onto a debate show, right? So I guess that might be the meme.
I guess. I don't know. I'm not trying to draw any like definitive inferences from there. It's just like the best interpretation I could draw from that is maybe he's gonna be like, oh, you're telling me to vote for Biden, but I don't want to for reasons X, Y, and Z, and it ends up being like equivalent to Bernie or bust, and so it would end up being like me and Destiny versus him, and maybe.
Well, I will tell you, one of the conservatives will also be voting for Biden.
Really interesting.
Yep.
All right, well, maybe a little weirdly even out. I don't know.
Hey, I tell you, when I pick the topics, then I pick the people. I always do it that way, because I want people to have the most time possible to research topics, and I think once having that, I can kind of start. I have the vision of like who I want to be in a match, who I want to be in this, right?
Interesting.
So it allows me to be more flexible, because having people and then figuring out topics is really weird, because what if I'm picking topics that only one person cares about, only 2 people care about, where if I could shift it and find balance between the people, like this person's really aggressive, so getting this aggressive person on this side to counter them, these people kind of chill so they can kind of be in the background and just chime in when they want to, like I match them up almost like Pokemon.
Interesting. I mean, hey, I'm not gonna argue. I mean, like it's an interesting. No, I mean, I've definitely enjoyed it when I've been on there. It'll be interesting being with I do not know how to feel about CTV. I have no fucking idea how to feel about that.
I love CTV. He's the most based individual in the world. Every time I bring him on my show, I have a blast.
Amazing. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about the I wish that you would have noticed me on Twitter.
I hope Trumpism falls away. and CTVism takes over.
Oh, really? Like, you actually think that, like, underneath all of that is, like, an actual... Like, oh, hold I can't tell if this is sarcasm. Is this, like, unironic? Like, is this, like, ironic he's amazing? Or is this unironic, actually, I really like him?
This is what I'll say. I think he represents a certain strain of the country, which is real. The type of beliefs he brings forward are real beliefs that Americans hold. And the arguments he makes, those real American arguments you'll hear from, like, quote-unquote, forgotten man, common man type
I can see that.
motif. And he has been nothing but extremely respectful behind closed doors. And he has always, anytime I've ever needed him, he has showed up on time before everyone else and has been extremely respectful to me, which is a lot more than I can say about a lot of other streamers.
All right. You know what? Hey, yeah, I can say, like, credit where credit is due. That's awesome. You know?
Yeah, even if I disagree with everything he ever believed.
Yeah. No, but I mean, I can get that. I don't know. It's just like a... I don't know, it's just a weird position sometimes I'm in with people, right? Because, like, I also have, like, just to be candid, you know, it was, in all honesty, I'm not sure if I should have done the debate last week in hindsight, just because, like, when you put, or not last week, the last time I was on, just because, like, there is important work to be done on moving people on, like, LGBT and, like, trans issues. But, like, when you're putting someone who is of that category into the position to basically defend the idea that they are valid and deserve something like basic, like, healthcare, you know, it turns into a really awkward situation because it ultimately, like, the way that it kind of devolved was eventually into, it was, should we have universal healthcare, but also transphobia, right? Like, that's essentially how the subject kind of evolved, right? And it puts me in a really weird position because it's very hard for, you know, it's very hard for me to be, like, cordial.
It's your humanity.
Yeah, it literally is, you know? And so, like, it's very hard for me to look at someone who's like, I don't know about that, and be like, oh, yeah, that, and like, have a, oh, yeah, that's a totally reasonable disagreement we could have. It's like, no, fuck you. But it's so yeah, it's just like it does put me in a weird spot, you know, because, like, and I say that, and my chat might disagree with me, and I'll fight you on this. There is work to be done on moving those people, right? Like, I don't want to say that those conversations shouldn't happen, or that people, you know, shouldn't talk about this kind of stuff, because people do need to be substantively moved. It's just like when you have the, like, this is what I'm learning more and more, and it's kind of why I'm shifting away from, like, talking about trans content as much, is because, like, I'm in this weird compromise position where it's like, if people want to debate me on it, and I kind of have a reputation at this point of debating people. It's like a part of the brand hashtag. You know, it's literally like, I assume the burden, like, you know, if people want to debate me, then maybe it's like they risk some face on the internet, whereas I risk, like, losing my humanity in the face of my viewers, you know? Like, it's just a very high burden that I can't afford to lose on. So I come down like the hammer of God, and they either move or they don't. But yeah, so I mean, like, so that's why I say with CTV, bringing it back in that example, right? Do I think that, like, there's work, like, I do agree with you, you know, that he represents, like, this archetype of person or personality in America. That is very real and is very representative, and it's cool that you're able to get them onto your platform. It just is like, it's very hard for people. It's very hard to have, like, what would be defined as, like, a candid conversation with someone who literally holds views which are, like, antithetical to my humanity, you know? Like, that's essentially the issue, at least for me.
So I 100% understand that. A lot of the issues they talk about on the show, and I'm always very upfront about this, are extremely serious, and they're going to deal with life and death, because I believe all politics affects our lives, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, if I was, like, somebody with cancer, if I go have a conversation about should the government provide me healthcare, that's going to be a completely different conversation to me. Anytime I have a conversation about healthcare and somebody's like, let the market decide, I think about the time I had to, like, the last conversation I had with my mom before she died about how scared she was that she wasn't going to be able to cover her healthcare costs, right? The politics is real, right?
Yeah.
And even and I think the fact that, and it's also my main problem with the fact that for me to get people to pay attention on Twitch, I somewhat have to gamify politics, and I also find that kind of distasteful. But I also
I feel it. I'm right there with you. It's actually really, or sorry, go ahead.
It's also political reality, though.
that if I want people to pay attention to these issues, I got to make it somewhat interesting. And so when it comes to this issue, that's one of the main reasons why I always choose the topics first, because I have an idea of who would be good for these topics, but I want them to know what we're going to talk about, because I didn't want to spring anybody on anything on anyone that could be traumatic, or could be something that they don't want to have to talk about. For example, I don't want to have a debate about rape. Why? Because I was raped. Right, I don't really want to have a debate about that. It's not something I'm really interested in doing. Right, so that's one of the main reasons why I'll provide those in advance. And I've also found myself in a weird position, and this is somewhat related, not exactly, about the idea of representation versus tokenization. About this idea where if I'm going to have a conversation about trans issues, I'm going to have trans people on my platform when I talk about that. Period. I don't want to have a bunch of cis people debating other people's right to life, right to this, right to existence. I think that's really gross.
No, I agree. I do agree, right? And this is something that I'm thinking, like, I do think about this, right? Like, this is the counter argument, right? It's like, oh, well, you shouldn't have, like, on one hand, it's like, it kind of sucks that trans people have to, like, fight, like, vouch for their own, like, the validity of their own personhood, right? But on the other hand, if you don't have them in the conversation, then it does become a bunch of cis people talking about whether or not trans people deserve basic human rights, you know? Like, there is this weird circumstance that we end up in, and, like, I do think about this, right? Usually that's why I think that logically where I have to come down on this is usually that's why I accept doing these things, and that's why I say that, like, you know, like, I'm not trying to raise this up like I'm unhappy personally with having gone on to the panel to talk about that, right? Because I do feel like I'm pretty adequately equipped to be able to talk about these subjects, right? Like, I've done a lot of research in addition to having, like, this personal life experience. It just also kind of sucks that, like, no matter what, the burden, like, the risk is just going to be higher than me, than whoever I engage with the conversation with, right? Like, it just will. Because I have a lot more to lose from engaging with it. And also there's, like, a lot more, like, it's harder for me to look at someone square and, like, it is just personally harder for me. I don't know, maybe this is a personal failing, maybe this is something I have to work on. I don't know how to feel about this. But it is just harder for me to also look at people with a disagreeing opinion and to treat them, especially if I don't think that they're acting in good faith, right? Like, especially if they have demonstrated that nothing that I say will actually convince them against their views, then it becomes really hard for me to look at that and be like, oh, well, you know, you're totally a fine person in my eyes.
The other counterweight for me is the idea that if I bring somebody who's trans or who's black or who's representing or is not even representing but is forced to represent their community, a lot of people don't want that burden. Nobody wants to go in and be like, guess I gotta speak for all trans people now. Right? Nobody wants to be a representative for their community. I mean, it's different from what, like, when I do foreign policy, right? I can be a representative for foreign policy people who talk foreign policy, but I'm also talking about my own brand of foreign policy. But when you're part of an ethnic group or a sexuality or a targeted minority or somebody who's disenfranchised, any of these groups, you somehow become an ambassador for whatever group you're talking about. And then when you're on huge stages in front of hundreds of people, getting put pressure on your community and you're hearing things that disgust you to your core, now you got to defend it. Not only is it difficult because you don't want to be a representative for your community and you're in front of all these people being that representative, but the stakes are so high for you because you don't want to, quote unquote, fail your community, right?
Oh yeah, no, trust me, I completely get it.
So for why I would understand you expect you to get it. It's so fun. I'm in this weird position where either we don't talk about them at all, these issues at all, which I don't want to do because these are issues that are integral to the challenges our countries are facing. I would love if I couldn't talk about it and just dismiss, like, transphobia as ridiculous, not worth debate. That's what I like to do with Holocaust denial, because right now Holocaust denial is, I would say, hopefully it's not on the ballot. It's not something that, like, the Supreme Court could like sign into law, or just sort of trans-military ban and see that this is something that's going on right now. So we need to fight it where it is. But I also don't want to put that burden on anybody unwillingly. So that's why one of the bigger reasons too, I also choose my topic beforehand and make sure that people know when you're coming in here, I don't want to drop any topic on you that you didn't expect. So here is all the topics. If you're uncomfortable, I can find a replacement.
Yeah, no, I think that's probably, like, as far, because I mean, like, it is a situation where you're kind of caught between the rock and the hard place. That's probably the most ethical way to be able to do it, right? Like, because you have the unfortunate circumstance where it is putting like a higher burden onto, like, what this would, like, whatever X minority person would be in this situation. But it is important to be able to try and get people from those backgrounds into the conversations, because otherwise you do literally miss the entirety of that perspective, right? At least from a lived experience. And so I don't know, it just is tough. Like, let me give you an example. The other day, this was actually not internet politics, this was real life, heavy quotation, I don't know. This was in my legislation class. So on the day that I was presenting, there's another trans person in our class. Something that bothered, like, this is a small aside. I have no idea why, but we just happened to be put on the same day, and we were the only 2 trans people in the class. Small aside, weird, random, maybe total coincidence, but whatever. And so I did my presentation on police use of force, and he decided to do a bill on trans discrimination in like lower school, or like K through 12 education. And unfortunately, he was peppered with like super basic arguments, right? Like super basic arguments, like what if trans kids, like how young do you have to be to know if you're trans? What if a trans kid wants to do the sports? And what if, like, a bunch of, like, I don't know, some of it's complicated, some of it's super simple, and they just crumpled, right? Like, it was really depressing to see, right? Because, like, you could tell that they were just, like, very unequipped to deal with it, because, like, not only are these subjects which are personally related to them, I mean, like, to the both of us, right? I was feeling this vicariously through them, but also, like, they do require, like, a good degree of, like, research and factual, like a basis or academic basis or all that, right? Like, it's not like a trans person, I mean, like, you know, a trans person can just sit there and be like, oh, well, I can talk from my own personal experience, and I know from my own personal experience that people can know very young, right? Like, that's an argument, but usually that's not as compelling to people when we're talking about, like, you know, statistical likelihoods and you know, like, it's anecdotal evidence. And so, like, it becomes really hard because, like, I mean, this is the reason why Ben Shapiro is as famous as he is when he talks about this, right? Is because, like, a lot of trans people will, you know, like, people who have talked to him, like, will defend their humanity, right? Whenever they talk to him about this kind of stuff. But usually, like, you do also require, like, such a robust academic background in all the subjects and all the different kind of, like, arguments related to it, that, like, it's really hard to like, I would never expect, like, the average trans person to know all the shit that I've had to learn at this point, right? Like, are you kidding me? It's just completely unreasonable. And it does make me kind of cynical, because, like, I kind of wish I didn't have to. I wish I could, listen, I just want to eat hot chip and lie, all right? Like, that's all I want to do. The fact that I basically have to become an expert on my own identity to prove to other people that I deserve basic rights is kind of ridiculous at the end of the day. But I'm sorry, that was a giant tangent. I'm gonna stop now.
Oh, no, it was a well-needed tangent. I mean, it is true. It is ridiculous. The whole political environment we live in today is ridiculous. The fact that Donald Trump is president is ridiculous. The fact that the Republican hypocrisy is ridiculous. The things we're debating are ridiculous. The fact that we got gay marriage rights like 5 years ago, but now the current president is challenging gay adoption rights, and the Supreme Court is ridiculous. I mean, there's so many things that is completely ridiculous, and it's completely sad, and that's why I would never try to pin this on anybody. So if it's more like a call that if anybody is willing to have these conversations, then we will have them, and I'm willing to put them off until I find somebody who is comfortable doing it.
No, I totally get that. And I mean, like, you know, just give me a call, because, I mean, like, I'll do them most of the time, right? Like, you know, if someone has to, then I will. And if you find other people who are much more passionate about that, then you know they can go for it. Yeah.
I get annoyed when somebody says Obama funded ISIS. I couldn't imagine if that was somehow tied to my identity, and I heard that shit every day.
Oh my fucking god, for real. I mean, like, yeah, it's very interesting. Let me ask you this question, because this is something that I notice a lot. All right. Because what I think is the most interesting to me, categorically, is that like a lot of issues you see usually comes from, like, in order for people to feel justified in essentially believing the lived experience of people whose experiences they may not associate with, right? Like, for example, someone like I don't know, if you take someone like CTV and you tell them, hey, dysphoria is a thing, and, you know, trans people say it's medically necessary to, you know, get certain forms of healthcare to be able to deal with it. And he's essentially like, what? That's crazy. I can't associate with that. If I ever would deal with something like that, I think I would just go for a walk in the mountains, right? It's very hard. Like, I don't know. Like, I have a fundamental issue because, like, honestly, I don't necessarily think that being able to understand someone's lived experience is a requisite to being able to, like, show compassion towards them, you know? Like, as a more basic principle, right? Because, I mean, like, a lot of people, I think, assume that, like, oh, well, if we just prove it to him, or if we just prove it, or if someone shows me, then, you know, then all will be good, because then the thing will be proven. But I don't know. I mean, like, I kind of wonder, like, all right, well, more fundamentally, like, why is that even like, why do people need to prove their victimhood more fundamentally? Like, why is that something that people feel is necessary? Because, I mean, like, I suppose that, like, for a good example, like a good parallel, in my community, something that I had recently learned about was the idea of, like, plural people, right? Like, people with, and I mean, there are different ways, like, there are different terms, so I'm gonna, like, butcher it, right? But essentially, like, multiple personalities, right? Now I think that a lot of people might look at that and even, like, kind of, like, cringe when I say that and be like, oh, well, Riley, like, that might be ridiculous, or Riley, why are you, you know, talking about this, or, oh, well, the reason why is because, I mean, fundamentally what happened was people told me that this was a thing that, you know, people experienced in my community, and I saw that and I was like, oh, well, I don't understand it, but I'm not going to, like, not be supportive of it.
What specific thing again? I'm sorry, this is just, this...
yeah, no, I totally get it. Yeah, I totally get it. So essentially it's like, the category, like, I don't know, it's a similar umbrella term of, like, plurality or plural dissociative identity disorder. I'm not sure if that's exactly it. Again, like, I'm very new on it, right? But essentially people, I don't know, like, if you've seen Split, you know, the idea of, like, having multiple personalities, right? Generally speaking, historically, it does not get a good rap. Pretty I don't know, like, there's some YouTubers who are, like, really big. Like, I think there's one YouTuber who's at, like, 1 million. I think that they're called, like, Dissocia ID or something like that. Like, massive YouTuber. And, I mean, I look at that and I see a lot of very similar parallels to, like, trans experience, right? Where you have, like, a couple early on YouTubers who kind of represent this new category of persons, or this new thing that people experience, right? And who sort of normalize it. Split isn't a great representation of DID. All right, never mind. I'm sorry. In that case, I again, like, I'm very, again, like, I apologize. I'm very new at this. Plurality can cover a few different things. I think I can find a good doc on it if you like. Yeah, go for it. But see, like, the point is, like, there are people in my community who know what this is, and it's a thing, and it's, like, it is something which people experience, you know? And so, like, for me, the question was not so much, like, okay, well, I want people to prove to me what this is. Like, prove to me the validity that people experience this problem, or else I will not believe it, and I will say that you're not a true whatever. But rather just like, all right, this is what you say you are. I'm going to just accept the terms, and I'm going to support you however I can, right? I feel like that's a perspective that's not common, but I also just fundamentally can't understand why. I don't know, maybe that's just like a more like radical form of kindness. Maybe that's too altruistic or whatever. But I don't know. I guess it's like, I see the fundamental appeal of secularism, but I think it's not like anti-secular to also, you know, like even if you might not necessarily be 100% logically proven of someone's condition, I don't necessarily see the harm or the issue of essentially taking someone's claimed lived experience at face value and then ascribing them the kind of help that they say that they need, you know?
So, I would say that for most people, that's probably not going to be a big thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, for example, like if I came out and said I had some like disorder with my leg, right? Most people are not going to come out and be like, "What the fuck?"
Right.
Dylan, prove to me. Bring the medical documents to prove. That limp didn't look real to me.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody's gonna do that because it doesn't push against something they believe or they hold fundamental to them or isn't against any structures they defend. Right? When it comes to LGBTQ plus issues, homosexuality being real, people being transgender, these institutions, these things that they're looking at now are pushing against things they believe. God created you the way you are. That there's no way that's no, you're rejecting like God's work. Or it's, well, this right here said this, so I have to work from this conclusion, walk back and prove how it's not real, right? Or how you're wrong. Here's another example. Anytime there's like a million women who come out and accuse conservative McBuckfuck, right, of being a rapist, right? It isn't like, it's kind of like, well, while I don't have direct proof, that's really weird. There's a lot of women accusing him. It's more like, no, let's go through all these women's let's go through everything and see. Look, this woman went in kindergarten, sneezed on another child. Obviously, she believes in assaulting men. She hates men. No, yeah, wrong.
Interesting.
It's because, and in that instance, it's because conservative McBuckfuck must be an amazing person because conservative McBuckfuck, right, must be great because he supports what they believe. So we need to chart a path to make him a good guy. And they're working back from their conclusions because these things push against preconceived notions. And to get set out of preconceived notions, you're going to need a lot of pushing. And so they're not only dug into their position, they're going to push against it push against the opposite of their position to defend it. So they're going to try to invalidate your identity. They're going to try to say you're wrong. They're going to try to find speakers, or even because if we really look at like Hunter Avalon with his old like anti-trans content that he made, it wasn't smart. It wasn't really convincing. It was just him looking at a trans woman or looking at a trans man, laughing, and then he got money out of it. It didn't even matter if it was a good argument or was convincing. It was something that helped them further entrench their position, even if it was complete garbage. It was something that helped them push it back, even if it was complete garbage. The path didn't matter. All that mattered is that there was a path.
No, I think that makes sense, actually. I think that basically addresses it's actually really interesting. I don't know, I've read a couple of books on this kind of psychology, right? No, I mean, like, the interesting thing about, like, certain kinds of political issues, right, is that, like, I don't know, especially when we're talking about social issues, right, whether it's related to, like, race or, like you said, LGBT people, right? A lot of people can have, like, very fundamental assumptions about the nature of the world baked into, like, the outcome of those arguments, right? And yeah, like, does like my worldview reside on this fundamental assumption about like the nature of the family and how the family should be built? Oh, well, in order to, you know, well, that is inconsistent with the idea of the gays and the transes. So one of them must not be true, and it can't be my personal worldview because that's definitely right.
Because mine's the correct one.
Exactly.
The wrong one. So let's find the path.
Exactly. And so the path must logically be, oh, actually, you're just wrong and misguided and either corrupted by Satan or you have some mental disease or defect or you otherwise, I don't know, maybe it's just a phase. I don't know, maybe, listen, like you were married to, you're a guy and you're married to your husband for 30 years. It's just a phase. You'll grow out of it eventually. You'll get over it.
Or hey, your father. How present was your father in your life?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, I mean like that does make sense. I guess I can probably.
Here's one that hit me hard.
Oh yeah, go for it.
You're bisexual, Dylan. Maybe that's because you were raped when you were a kid.
Oh my fucking God. Oh my God. Biracial is so fucking bad, and I mean like it's also bad in the LGBT community, but like yeah, like it's I mean, like, actually, like, even talking about that, I mean, like, I can probably extend the same logic that we've talked to most people, like, even in, like, left communities, right? Or I don't want to say left, because I might not call some of the people who would hold those kind of views to be left necessarily. I don't know, I guess it doesn't really intersect with politics all that much. But, like, I mean, like, if we want to analogize to trans stuff, just because, like, that's what I'm more familiar with, right? I mean, like, this is the whole, like, this is like the transmed v not transmed debate, right? It's like, oh, well, you don't think that you need to look like a super passable uwu cute girl on Hubu Morns? I'm terrible. And you're not going to go on medical transition and you don't have dysphoria? Well, that seems to conflict with my entire understanding of the world, right? So therefore, my understanding cannot be wrong. So yours must in fact be the wrong, right? I mean, I see that like all the time, right? And yeah, like this can be extended, yeah, to like how it affects like bi people, how it affects like similar like pan people or like ace people. There's a lot of people who are ace who basically get the, oh, you just don't like sex, but you still have a sexuality. It's just that you just don't like sex. Why don't you just say that you don't like sex and otherwise acknowledge your sexuality, heavy quotations, right? I mean, we see this with like a ton of different things, and I think that like I don't know. This is the reason why I always advocate for people in my community. Like, it is, like, fundamentally just, like, a shift in perspective, right? Which I try to look for. Like, basically just getting people to acknowledge, like, hey, your lived experience may not be representative of other people's. And instead of, like, dismissing other people's... Honestly, like, I always just advocate for learning. Because maybe your experience is right. Maybe, in fact, you do have the correct worldview. Although, I don't know, I don't have that much... Very convenient. Yeah, very convenient. And also unlikely. I don't know. Maybe just me. Maybe it's not... Maybe your worldview... maybe the idea that your worldview or your perspective is the... I shouldn't say your perspective. I don't know. Maybe the idea that, like, the way that you understand and see the world is the correct way of doing it isn't the greatest way to go about life. But hey, what do I know? But, like... I don't know. That's... So, like, a good example is, a couple months ago, there's a trans YouTuber named Vera Wild who I had on my channel, right? And I think, actually, like, the discourse around Vera is very interesting because she is not a trans person, like, not a trans woman. She is she's gender fluid and she does not experience dysphoria, or that is what she claims, right? I'm not saying that to imply she doesn't, right? But some people will make the argument that actually she does experience dysphoria, right? And so basically there's been essentially 3 different kinds of responses to her just existing on the internet, right? The first response has been people just taking a giant steamy shit on her. Blair White did a video on her taking just a massive dump on her. Basically just like pointing...
Ask Vera?
What?
Ask Vera?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I know Ask Vera. Wait.
Yeah. Like they're actually they're in the server. They were talking in my research channel earlier today. They're really cool.
I had no clue that she was targeted by.
Let me see. Yeah. Oh, Blair White.
Blair, yeah.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me just double check. Ask Vera. God damn it, my V key is not working. This is bothering me so much. Of all the key, like you don't know if you miss it until it's gone, but like. I can't control V, so it's very unfortunate. I'm pretty sure that's who it is. Yeah, Vera Wild. Yeah, so basically, there's been 3 different responses. Blair White took a giant shit on her, and other people have too, but Blair's most notable. I reached out to them, and I was basically like, hey, I don't understand, like, what it's like to be the kind of person that you know, make yourself out to be. Can you just come on to my stream and explain it to me? Like, I'm not going to push back. I'm just going to be like, hey, I just want to understand. Help me out here. Right? And that was, and yeah, they were totally amenable, and they came on and they explained it, and now we have really good relations. This is a plural resource document I mentioned. Oh, thank you. I'll go ahead and pin that. Yeah, so No, they came on. We had a super cool conversation, and actually we've collabed more since. We did a video about J.K. Rowling, since apparently Vera also does book reviews and is pretty knowledgeable on the subject. So that was really nice. And then what was interesting is that recently, I don't know if you're familiar with Calvin Gara or Gara.
No.
All right, yeah, that's fine. So he's a pretty sizable, controversial trans YouTuber, trans guy. Historically more transmed, historically has fallen into the similar kind of vein as Blair White, but recently apparently became a fan of mine, and also it turns out he has pretty left-leaning and progressive values, and also apparently he finds a lot of my content very persuasive, and and now we text and we shitpost about the election. I
just looked this up. The first thing I found was Live with Buck Angel featuring Riley Grace Rochon.
Yeah, we did that too. That was also a thing that happened, which was actually like I also live streamed it. It was one of the best debates I think I ever had. To be perfect, I mean, like in that, like I got out of it. Like I definitely applied some heat because Buck Angel is also large, mainly known as like transmed YouTuber, very controversial, has a lot of bad views, but basically the way he came off was just as kind of like a boomer who has a lot of bad views but doesn't necessarily know any better and is otherwise a pretty decent person. And so I went through all the arguments with him, and I held his feet a little to the fire, but also did so in a way where like we still DM, and he, you know, like we're talking, and he reads through my stuff, and it hopefully is going over well. I don't know, like maybe he's taking it to heart, maybe he isn't. But like the fact that he reached out to me after the fact and was like, hey, I really appreciate the conversation. Can you send the, you know, the stuff that you referenced to me? And I sent that over to him. You know, said a lot about it. But anyway, so going back to Calvin for the purpose of this conversation, there was, this was like basically the third possibility, right? Was I think that Calvin was interested in getting Vera, like basically, because Calvin is like more trans man. He like disagrees around. I'm actually not sure what his position is, right? But basically, I remember in the stream I offered him like, hey, so I actually might know someone who comes from this experience that you don't understand. If you want to talk to them, I might be able to arrange that. And he was like, oh yeah, that'd be awesome. That didn't end up happening because without getting too deep into the details, essentially it puts Vera kind of in the position that we talked about earlier, right? Where Vera is now essentially like trying to, I mean, like it wouldn't necessarily be a debate and I probably would have moderated, but essentially is like vouching for her like personhood, you know? Against this person, right? Whereas I was coming in and like literally just like completely suspending the idea that I would challenge her, right? Like I just said I wouldn't, and I would just take it at face value. She came in and was worried that, you know, she would have to essentially defend herself against like the against like the possibility or the attack on like basically what is her person. And so the point I was trying to make with that is that like it's just I don't know, I really, because this relates back to the perspective issue, right? Like it is fundamentally a difference in perspective. It's either outright rejection of another person's worldview, very skeptic questioning of another person's worldview, or just acceptance of another person's worldview, right? Like fundamentally that's the difference between all of the different responses to this person, which is what makes them so interesting. But I don't know. I'm just trying to think of like why that is, right? Like fundamentally.
I think for a lot of these people, like for example, let's say it was Buck Angel, for example, or this other person, it might be because they're working from a conclusion, like we talked about before. Like I believe Buck Angel's really big about that. You need to go through the surgery thing. I don't know enough about that. That's
probably a position that, I mean, like the thing that sucks about him is that like he says a lot of vague things on Twitter that could very well imply that, but never actually commits to like a position. But like broadly speaking, that's what a lot of people would say that is a position that he holds. Yeah.
So he would be working from that position of this person must be wrong because I hold this and I know this is right because of my lived experience or my thing or whatever thing he's going to be dragging from, and so he's going to walk back, and walking back to do that walk back from their position to find that goal, you're going to have to try to poke holes in it to try to find something that gives way. And so I think that's where you were just trying to figure it out. You were just, because their existence did not in your mind threaten your existence or threaten your way of life or threaten what you believe. So therefore you could just kind of stand there and just listen.
Yeah. No, and I mean, like, it kind of sucks, right? Again, this is why I'm very cynical about talking about trans subjects. I am. I'm turning into the most cynical trans YouTuber, like, actually. Because, like, the thing that kind of sucks about this is that, like, a lot of my arguments are not new, right? They're arguments that have been made either by other trans YouTubers who just, I guess, didn't come off as likable enough or whatever. Like, Riley J. Dennis has made a lot of very similar arguments to me, and Riley is the other Riley. All the Rileys, right? Is someone who was very, basically, like, was a quote-unquote SJW in 2016 and got ratioed by, like, all of the anti-SJW crowd back then. Mind you, she came off, like, very nice and polite in all of her videos. It's just that, like, yeah, I don't know. People just didn't like the idea, like, the way that she presented some of the ideas about, like, gender or whatnot. Like, a couple of years ago, she presented them in such a way where all of anti-SJW YouTube just kind of collectively crashed down on her. And, like, I say the exact same things as her, like, very close things. I just phrase it differently, and they come off sometimes as more abrasive, which I guess makes a difference. But also, like, so there's like that, and also the fact that, like, comparatively, on the other foot, there are a lot of, like, like, cis YouTubers who make a lot of the same arguments I do, which, mind you, I think is great, right? Like, I appreciate allyship, right? I like that other people will make the good arguments, you know? But, like, when those people try to make the arguments, like, to trans people, like, especially, like, trans people who now I have a good relationship with because they respect me, usually their response would be something to the effect of, oh, but you're not trans, so how can you be able to speak on this experience? And then I would come in and say literally the exact same thing, and they would be like, oh my god, you make so much sense. And it just kind of, I don't know, it just makes me very cynical that, like, literally all it took was, like, someone with the shared lived experience to say the exact same things for people to finally fucking get it.
I remember, like, the things I say about foreign policy are not new things, right? These are not new takes I'm bringing out, right? I'm not bringing out the revolutionary plan to save Israel Palestine. I'm not doing that. If anybody's coming to my show for that, you got to get, because people sometimes will come in and be like, so Dylan, how do we solve Israel Palestine? I'm like, oh, okay. How do you solve cancer? You give me that one, I'll give you that one, okay?
Side note, I also know very little about that, and you need to, like, you will need to educate me more so I can have, like, at least a halfway decent opinion on Israel Palestine.
I got you.
Yeah.
So, but my thing is, I've read enough, I've studied enough, I've watched enough documentaries, and went to the university, studied it, did enough of that, that I've heard enough arguments, and I just format it in a way that I think is more deliverable to everyday people, and more, like, easy to consume in kind of bite-sized pieces. And so that if you spend enough time in my community, you can get what I've learned through, you know, the difficult kind of way of reading foreign affairs every day. You can get it in the simple way of me playing Minecraft while I talk about it.
That's pretty chill.
That's why I've been able to become, like, the #1 foreign policy streamer on Twitch, and I'm, like, at the moment, like, if anybody ever has a foreign policy question, usually I'm the person they come to. Even if I don't have an answer, I usually try to point them in a direction what gets them an answer.
Question, is foreign policy Twitch, like, a big thing? Like, are there other people that you compete with?
No, there is Tory News, there's Shadows of Liberty, there's Kevin Castley. He's the neocon who wants to nuke North Korea.
I saw that. Wait, aren't you debating him? Yeah,
I was going to debate him, but then I had a very bad day.
Aw. Is that going to be rescheduled? I'm sorry, I don't want to push so much on this if you don't, like, if there's, like, a...
It is going to be rescheduled. I tried to reschedule it for this week. He didn't accept this week, so I'm trying to get it for next week, hopefully, and It just hopefully it doesn't keep getting pushed back. Originally, he wanted me to pay him $100 an hour.
Oh my god, I saw no because the first time, and this is actually the only time I think I've ever like been in Liz's chat, was because I saw that Liz was going to debate him and did like I watched the debate and like holy shit, this guy actually thinks that he's worth like $100 an hour. Like what the fuck does this guy think he's on, that his time is worth that? Like what is he like a college student thinking that he can go around ask for $100 an hour? Like holy shit.
The thing is, he's got, I don't want to be mean to him, but he's got 350 subs on YouTube and he gets maybe 10 live viewers.
Amazing.
Why would I pay him all this money
Amazing.
Maybe for laughs, but no, like that's not what I'm doing.
You make a video titled "I actually paid this guy $100 to be on my stream, and this is what happened." Like that's like one of those kind of like clickbait titles that you see on like YouTube trending.
That's true. So Liz had a debate with Kevin.
Liz had the debate, and then I'm pretty sure that like yours like came out of that, right?
Yeah, because I think he got really confident when he debated on foreign policy and did not do horribly, and I think that's mostly because Liz doesn't know anything about foreign policy. So now he's going to debate me on whether we should nuke North Korea. And my position is no. His position is the opposite.
I feel like you have a good. I like your position. I don't know, just something about it. I'm gonna
take a controversial position and say I don't think we should nuke North Korea.
Well, you know what? I applaud your bravery in taking on such a controversial take. I mean, just wow, you know, such bravery, such wow.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, like the thing, like I was watching that in real time, and this is the thing, right? Well, actually, I don't know. I mean, like Liz is a streamer, kind of a shit poster. But I mean, like I do firmly believe that there are different, like, and this is like diversity of tactics or diversity of strength, right? Like there are different kinds of creators, like here on like politically, if we want to call it like left YouTube, left Twitch, whatever, right? Like there are some people who make really fucking like spanking, what is it? It's like video essays, right? With all the fancy effects and editing and all of that good stuff, right?
Yeah.
And that's all, and that's great, and that's wonderful. I saw Drangles put up
boring.
Are you?
I don't want. Look, I want my information unsourced and in Minecraft format.
All right, you know what? That's fair. That's absolutely fair. You know, if I
start to praise this, then I'm gonna have to source everything, and that takes time. And I already don't like timestamping videos.
Oh yeah, no, trust me, that's too much. Well, I mean, that's too much effort for me, right? And that's why I say like the diversity of tactics is. Oh fuck, I'm about to. Wow, I do not want to die. No, that's why like there's definitely like there's a place for that, and it's really good and it's necessary like on this online space, right? But also there's like a drastic need for people who can do like good live content, and especially debates. I think that's like the main benefit of live streamers is to be able to like actually debate people. I mean, obviously there's other benefits too. You can cover like a wider array of topics. You don't have to put as much work or effort into every single one of your videos. Not saying that you don't have to put like academic effort in, but like, you know, you don't have to spend like all the time of like editing and going over, like, you know, you can put out like 5 good videos.
Or pay for thumbnails. Well, I still have to pay for thumbnails and.
Yeah. But I mean, like, there is a benefit to that, and to me, like, especially the debating part, right? Because like for the longest time, it was the left is too afraid to debate, and now it's everyone is afraid to debate the left, and I love that. Are you kidding me?
It is fantastic.
It is the best shift ever because, and I'll stand by this claim. I feel like I have the grounds to be able to stand by this claim. I would say that like truth or facts have a pretty definitive left-leaning bias, right? Like it's kind of the reason I've, you know, reasoned myself into being more on the left, right? Is that like when you actually go through most, like when you actually like dig down into most issues, you usually end up finding that they just kind of naturally arrive at more left-leaning positions. And so like, I don't know, there's just kind of like this nice certainty, or not certainty, right? But what it means is that like when we engage in these sort of debates, right? Like when we're engaging in this sort of content, not only are we providing like something that is good, right? Like compared to Liz, I don't know. Like Liz is actually Liz is something unique. Liz is the left shit poster, or I don't know if she qualifies her as left. She's more, I don't know, like whatever Liz is. But it's nice that like people who have more experience with debating like you are able to go in and basically like not damage control, but like be able to actually meaningfully like tussle with someone who has objectively bad ideas, right? I'm sorry, that took me a long way to get there, but I got there.
As much as I respect Liz, she even admits that like she did not handle that debate well when it came to foreign policy. And the reason why is that she would say something that I would also say is a ridiculous position that nobody respectable in the foreign policy community holds, something that even John Bolton was rejected as like foolish.
Oh, what'd she argue?
No, he argued that
sorry.
And she argued that we shouldn't, but like her argument was just like laughing at his position.
Yeah. No, and I get that. And I mean like
which is, I mean, I understand why she did it, but that's not enough.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. And actually, this is something that I see a lot in mock trial, where it's funny because like I coach a team, and literally this past weekend, like we hit like UCLA, we hit Emory, like we had some like really big teams, right? Like there were some like Ivy Leagues, like Harvard was there, Yale was there, in the field. And the thing about it, right, is that honestly, like the teams that you want to worry about are not the really good teams, right? Because if what you're doing is good, you should be able to pretty much deal with whatever they throw at you, right? Like once you get to a certain level of competition, like most people know all of the like the tactics and like the standard things that people do and can adequately, if they're good enough, be able to respond to them, right? The people that you worry about are the people who make the batshit crazy arguments that you would never expect, right? Because it's so exactly. Like it's so out there moon logic that the standard reaction is just to laugh at it. But like if you're expected to actually formulate an argument about why it's wrong, it can be hard to, because usually we just kind of thought terminating cliche it, like, oh, you want to say to nuke North Korea? Wow, lol. Absolutely not. And then that's it, right? But people usually don't apply like any more thought beyond that.
And everyone usually laughs for the first few minutes, and then they're like, okay, but why is that wrong? And then you're just like, yeah, but like nuke North Korea, and then like, okay, yeah, but then, like,
yeah,
why
but then
is that wrong?
Exactly.
Then you're screwed.
Yeah, exactly. And so and I can definitely see that there. It's the same thing that I've dealt with like in those. It's just like those are actually, unironically, the hardest arguments. Honestly, it's kind of why I don't resent going on your panels, but I do have to prepare the most for them out of most of what I do, because I know with absolute certainty that I'm not going to get like the really good arguments, right? Or at least the past couple times, I haven't been hit with like the really good arguments. It's usually the stupid shit like, you were worried about X thing that Trump said?
I'm telling you, Hunter Biden's gonna come up Friday.
Hunter Biden? Oh my fucking god, great. So I gotta do more research into that. Fucking, I don't even want to have an opinion on it. I don't really even care. Why does it matter?
I've already declared I'm not voting for Hunter Biden, so I don't need to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, like literally, it's just gonna be they're gonna talk about how shit Biden is. I'm gonna be like, okay, Trump worse. This is like, I'm not going in to defend Biden, except on like, you know, he actually believes that global warming is a threat, and he's like,
he's not incompetent in foreign policy. He's not, at least understands what a foreign policy is.
Exactly.
He doesn't think all the Kurds are the same.
Right. So like a lot of my argument, I don't really care if people see this. Like this isn't a surprise, right? Like it's gonna be mostly being like, Trump is so inconceivably worse that anyone who is not him is going to be better, basically. And it just kind of sucks because, I mean, like, yeah, Hunter Biden will come up. Trump, you're mad at Trump for saying X thing. Oh, well, it was just a joke, lol. Don't be triggered, lib. Like, it's just like the most brain dead 2 IQ takes imaginable. But it's hard to respond to if you don't know how to, you know? Like if you do not, like, obviously they sound ridiculous in a vacuum. But if you're expected to actually respond on this, like, on the spot, I don't know, like I think it's just like an unspoken skill that people just kind of take for granted, you know?
Yeah. I think that, yeah, the most difficult conversations I've had is always with people who come in with the weirdest
takes. Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, like, for instance, like, anytime somebody brings up North Korean states, they're actually democratic, and they can spout off a few facts that most people kind of actually get tripped up. But, like, thankfully, like, I know enough to just be like, they're operating concentration camps. They'll be like, what? And, like, that's not true. It'll be like, here's the reports on it. Oh, also, here's when they did a terror attack and blew up planes on the way to the Olympics. So they're a nation that's engaged in terror attacks. They have concentration camps. They've tried to assassinate South Korea's president.
There's a clip.
They've done this, they've done that, and like, once you pile it up, then most people are like, well, okay, yeah, it was ridiculous, obviously.
Right. But you have to do the work of getting there.
Yeah, but once you've broken like found the first hole, like the whole thing falls apart because everybody then falls back into the okay, yeah, of course, it's a ridiculous position.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I don't know. It's the reason why this is just like this is just me like ranting about how cynical I am about politics for what is 2 straight hours. Also, we don't have to go on too much longer. It's almost 2 a.m. Thanks for talking for so long. I've really enjoyed this. But yeah, it's like I don't know. Maybe there's something to say here. And I'm going to describe a feeling that I have, and I want you to tell me if I'm overthinking or if I'm being illogical here. I feel like most of the time when I go into a conversation, that it feels like, even that, like, regardless of the trans shit, right? Like, put that to the side, right? Like, all that conversation from earlier. It feels like a lot of the posturing of the discussions are usually people on the left have the burden of proof, and a lot of people who are opposing those ideas just try to poke holes in the narrative that is presented by people who are on the left. Here's a good example. The first panel, or I can't remember if it was either the first or the second panel I was on your show, where basically for the first couple prompts, I was the first person to speak, and I would lay out, like, all right, here's my position, here's the evidence and the reason why I believe them, and then we would go from there, right? And a lot of people would make their arguments in response to me, and then eventually you would change it up, and we're like, all right, we're gonna change it up. So now, the X person, you're gonna lead us off. I think it was like Redneck. I'm pretty sure it was actually. Like, you were like, all right, Redneck, you can take it off, and he just kind of sat there for a second, and was like, what?
Yeah,
because like
some people don't know how to go first. Some people they need something to respond to.
Yeah. But I feel like that's kind of, but there's something there, right? I mean, like, I don't know, like, it ended up going over fine. Like, I was fine with the discourse. I just can't help but notice that, like, with a lot of the way that these conversations have gone over, and maybe it's just, again, like, please tell me if I'm inaccurate in characterizing this, but that a lot of it ends up going with person on the left presents argument, and person on the right responds by just trying to poke holes in argument presented by person on the left. And
never make a real counter about what they think.
Exactly.
That happens a lot, yes.
Yeah. Which just kind of sucks. Because, like, I mean, like, I don't know, I've seen this in, like, other debates, right? I've seen this with, a lot of debates that, like, Vosh has. This is gonna be the oh, do you have a political, I'm sorry, do you have a political opinion on X thing? Well, has Vosh made a video on it yet? No. But,
I get all my opinions from roundtables.
oh yeah, 100%. God, what was I saying? No, but I mean, like, he's talked about this same kind of thing before, right? Where it's like, maybe it's a consequence of our communities, right? Because actually, he was talking about this a little bit the other day in regards to, like, Tim Pool and, like, the pre-stream. Because something that I definitely, like, something he pointed out, and I think that definitely rings true, right? Is generally speaking, I don't think that people who are on the right necessarily face that much backlash from their community for making a bad argument, you know? Yeah. Like, I don't think that's necessarily something that happens. Like, Tim Pool, like, regularly goes on, just says, like, crazy shit on his show, right?
Mess up, though, the consequences are, like, oof, you get, like, hit.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, like, for us, I mean, like, God. I mean, like, I love my community, and I love that they you know, think the world of me. But, dear God, I can't think what would happen if I just get, like, fucking destroyed on a debate or something. Because, like, there is this expectation that and basically anyone on the left, right? Broadly speaking, like, there's an expectation that we will be right. you know? And
Yeah.
it's just like a very high burden. Now, do I like that? I have mixed feelings about it. I wish it was more fair. I like being held to a high burden. You know, like in principle, I like being held to a high burden and pushed to succeed and learn more and to succeed. Like I do like that in the vacuum. What I don't like is how there's like an inconsistent standard whereas like on one hand, we're held to a very high standard and the people who we're arguing with just are not, you know?
Yeah.
Did we collect all 5 cards to summon Voxodia? Yes, amazing. I'm sorry, this, again, there's no, like, purpose to this, it's just, like, me venting, about an observation.
It's okay to vent.
Thank you, I appreciate it. But yeah, I don't know. So, how are you feeling about this, Friday stream, as moderator?
I'm feeling calm, cool, collected. I think the line, while there's not a lot of huge stars on it except for Destiny, I'm happy with the lineup. I think the people that I'm bringing to the table are going to make it a good show. So even if they aren't huge stars, I think it's going to be a good show. So I think it's going to be a great YouTube video that people turn into. I think it's going to be a great VOD that people turn into. I don't know how live viewership's going to do. I think that's going to do well. When it comes to me moderating, I think I'm going to have an easy way of it, even though there's a lot of personalities in there. It's because I've worked with all of these people before. I know how all of them kind of make arguments. I know how to moderate with them. Everybody knows that I'm stern. Everybody knows how I go, and I have a decent relationship with basically everyone on there based off of respect. So I'm pretty confident that I will be able to perform to a high standard on this one. The first one I was really nervous with how I would do with Destiny, and I did very well, and that was with some humongous stars that I had on that time. So
Oh, really?
this one I'm designing more to just be the best show possible. The best one. I'm just designing my dream show. That's what I'm doing for this Friday.
Damn. All right. Well, hey, I'm honored that you would ask me to be on. Holy shit. Best show ever. Oh my god. But yeah, no, I mean, like, it should be really fun. Wait a second. I just had a question and it left me. Fuck. I literally was just gonna ask something. Wait, hold on. You just talked about you were really excited. You handled it really well. You're looking forward. Oh, sorry. Yeah. All right. I arrived at the point. I do have to apologize, for, on prior, panels I've been on, and probably also for the subsequent panel, in perfect honesty. Since I know I can sometimes be, like, a little bit of a hassle. I do try my best to listen to you whenever you try to, like, lay down the law. But I know that, like, I know that there have been a couple times where you've had to be a little more stern with me, and I apologize.
It's okay. I've muted basically everybody. I've muted Destiny. I've muted Bastiat. I've muted basically everybody who I've worked with on the show before. I mean, I do ask everybody to be respectful. There's a reason why I'm inviting you back. So you haven't been overbearing in it. Yes, you have sometimes gotten a little bit super aggressive, but there's a reason why I chose you, and it's because you can be aggressive, and we do need people who are aggressive in nature, even if sometimes that means you will tread the line. But you being an aggressive debater generally means that I just generally understand like the type of person you are in these types of conversations. So I try to let you have a little bit of wiggle room.
Thank you. No, and I appreciate that. I do try to, like, tread the line of when I mean, like, I don't know, like, to be honest, usually, like, for the most part, I try to be pretty chill. It's only when I hear, I don't know, like, this is me turning this is me slowly turning into Destiny. It's, like, only, like, listen, it's only when people say, like, the really stupid shit do I start getting a little agitated, because it's, like, what the actual fuck? But no, I do get it, and I appreciate you giving me a little bit of leeway, and, yeah, I do try my best to be respectful. Riley protect, Riley attack, but most importantly, Riley does not rhetorically lack. Oh, damn. I like it. Yeah, I should probably get off, though, because it is almost 2 a.m., and I did not anticipate streaming until almost 2 a.m. But, hey, you know what? Sometimes it just happens. Also, we need to talk about more Maryland politics, but also, all right, here's the last question I have. What are, like, good news sources for me to get plugged into? Like, what do you recommend?
Baltimore Sun, Maryland Matters.
Baltimore Sun to Maryland Matters?
Yep, they're the two best.
Sadly, my old favorite outlet, who despised me, Red Maryland, no longer exists.
Oh.
May they rest in peace, and call me a dumb Gravel kid another day.
Oh my god. All right, hold on. I'm gonna turn on my notifications because these are the kind of places I actually want to get Twitter notifications from. All right, and so it was the Baltimore Sun, and what was the other one? The Maryland Matters.
Maryland Matters, yes.
Matters. Chill. Okay, I'm following them. Awesome. Cool.
Wonderful.
Well then, hopefully in the future we'll have. Yeah, because I would genuinely like to actually talk about Maryland specific politics. I feel like that would be fun, and I do want to learn a lot more, especially if as I go on in my political career that I'm gonna end up running for office in Maryland. So yeah, no, I really appreciate I appreciate you coming on literally last minute.
So it's okay. I had a fun time talking to you. And I hope we continue to work together, and maybe if you learn enough about politics, maybe we can make Maryland-specific content together.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, listen, I down the line, or I don't know, how far down the line. I mean, hell, I'm every day learning more about Maryland, and I'm networking with more and more people. But yeah, let's totally make more Maryland-specific content. I feel like that'd be awesome.
That'd be wonderful. You have a blessed day, okay?
Thanks, you too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, everyone. On a scale of 1 to 10, how'd that conversation go over? I liked it, but I felt like I came off a little cringe at sometimes. I don't know. No credit. Yeah, listen, credit where credit's due. Yeah, talk to me, chat. How'd that go over? Affirm me. Tell me that I was super uwu. It went from the amount that I heard. I don't think you came off cringe at all. Okay, awesome. Live to cringe. All right, these are two very different comments. I felt like it was chill. I don't know, obviously I'm pretty super uwu, super hashtag uwu. Amazing. Also, by the way, hey, here's the standard the shill. If you aren't in the Discord already, join the Discord. If you want to do this, give me the Bezos bucks on Twitch, then do that. If you want to do this, subscribe on YouTube, do that. Okay, chill is over. I think the first half was better than the last half, but I was also getting tired. Yeah. No, I mean, I feel that. I mean, it definitely shifted from... Actually, I mean, there's good information, right? I like learning... Oh, fuck, boss. I like learning about, basically... I mean, all of politics is, all politics is, information, right? It's a matter of, how much information can you acquire, and, what are the best sources, right? And so, being able to at least get the, the various delegates to follow on Twitter and, the various news outlets, that's massive, massive help. And also, holy shit, I didn't realize, I mean, obviously I'd heard a lot of people say, how much Dylan has done politically, but, god damn it, 19. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't like bringing up people's age, but, that's just impressive. Politics is cringe, but important. Yeah, all right. Was a nice combo, too. I didn't believe he's 19. I'm older than him. Yeah, it does make you pretty sad, right? Most people who, are watching right now, or actually I don't know what the range disparity is on my channel, but I imagine there are a lot of people watching who see that and they're like, oh shit, you're 19, what the fuck was I doing at 19? I was doing stuff in college. Dylan puts in the work. Yeah, for real. No, I have a lot of respect for people who do that. He actually is he is definitionally the exact opposite of a LARPer. Right? If you could define a LARPer, he is the literal opposite of a LARPer. That's what he is. Keep in mind it took Biden over 70 years to become president. I mean, hey, listen. Yeah, everyone go follow Dylan. Go subscribe to Dylan. Go do that, right? I wasn't recording, and I'm not going to turn that into a video because I'm trying to be more selective with what I make into content nowadays. Because I am going to start, building a more consistent brand, even more consistent than what I have right now. Dylan's based. Dylan's absolutely based. I was being depressed. I turned 20. I'm sorry. But that's a valid mood. I was working out how to do my laundry so that wouldn't smell like mildew when I was 20. I mean, to be fair, I'm still in that boat, all right? People who can be very successful in life can otherwise not be great at doing laundry. Is Dylan connected with the Gravel Institute at all? I don't know. I mean, like, I didn't want to ask, or actually I forgot to ask him. It's not that I didn't want to. It's very possible, but I feel like he would have brought that up if he was. Makes me wonder how much, like, Mike Gravel is, like, actually connected. I imagine that he would be, like, pretty connected to the Gravel Institute, but then again, I don't know myself necessarily. Oh, fuck. I'm so fucking good at solo content. Or I mean, like, soloing group content. Which is the better way of saying it. It's okay, I'm just chilling being sad. I'm slowly getting laundry done. I'm sorry. Aw. God, I'm so happy with my build. Like, it actually is, like, really good. Which is nice because I've done so much work on it over, like, I've had this build, like, I've had this character for, like, literally since launch. Like, I have an ungodly amount of hours. Actually, after this, we'll do slash played, and I'll show you all how many hours I have in this character. Like, not this game, this character. Manic is around base. Oh, crap. Manic, are you still, hold on. You're still in the... Hey, Manic.
Hello.
You've been waiting here for 2 hours?
I made a promise.
Wait, what?
That I made a promise.
I'm so sorry.
No,
Listen,
that's fine.
when people, I don't know, it's just like, that seems to be an issue I have, that like other content creators will hop into my chat and be like, hey, do you want to talk? And I'm sorry. I feel
like
really bad. No, because like my commitment is to like, listen, like the relationship with all the other content creators is good. My first and foremost commitment is to my community. So I feel really bad. But I'm thankful that you stuck around. Also, let's check how much I've played on this character. I have played on this character. Oh, you can't see it because of my name. I'll just read it to you. 80, actually no, I have to show you because otherwise people aren't gonna believe it. Let's see, grab my cam. Oh, fuck me. 82 days, 9 hours, 27 minutes, and 44 seconds. How many hours does 82 days translate into? But also, 82 days on one character. It's a very healthy mindset, I assure you. I'm a very healthy person. Whoa. I'm just saying I'm very proud of everyone who is politically active now. Yeah, totally. What, 1968 hours? Is it true that after 100 days you actually get sucked into cyberspace and become your character? Yes, it is true. Well, hey, since you stuck around, could we do just a couple more? Like, we'll just go till the even 2 a.m.
Sure.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
All right, just let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, so what is it called when a member of an LLC leaves?
Disenfranchisement?
Disassociation.
Damn it, give me a 2.
What are the uncodified acts and provisions?
Uncodified acts and provisions, those are acts which have passed law but which have not been codified, which still have the full force of law.
Acts of temporary effect, budget bill, capital budget bill, bond bills, bills to grant authority to condemn property.
Say that again?
So they're acts of temporary effect that are budget bills, capital budget bill, bond bills, bills to grant authority to condemn property.
Give me like a 0. That was way off.
What are the 7 main lessons to ensure that a parent corporation is not liable for a subsidiary?
There's several. It's to leave the business, one of them is to leave the business of the subsidiary to the subsidiary. You want to keep the accounts, like the monetary or the banking accounts of the subsidiary and the parent company separate. There are a lot of others, but those are the only 2 I remember. Because it's also almost 2 a.m. and my brain be poo.
Yeah, there's about 7 of them.
Well, yeah, the question said there were 7.
Yeah.
Fuck. Not dying.
So you got leaving the business of the subsidiary to the subsidiary.
Who's that in the
allowing-
background?
Oh, sorry about that.
You're fine. It was just funny.
Yeah, so there's allowing the subsidiary to make decisions by a process that follows normal corporate structures of decision making,
Gotcha.
keeping the subsidiary's funds separate from those of the parent. You got that one.
Mhm.
Properly capitalizing the subsidiary, ensuring the subsidiary adequately, properly identifying the subsidiary, and organizing the management of the subsidiary.
Wait, did someone say hi to me? Did I hear someone say hi, Riley?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
I-
Never mind. I'm just going crazy after just going straight for. Anyway, okay, awesome. Yeah, give me a solid 2 for that one. Because I did so amazingly terrible. Let's see.
So, what is the public policy limitation for 501c3 tax exempt qualification?
You can't form for any illegal purpose or to otherwise, or vaguely speaking, that would otherwise go against a defined or pretty definitive public purpose.
Yeah, that's a 5.
Chill. Yeah, you cannot. There's a reason why you cannot register the mafia with a 501c as a 501c3. It turns out there's actually a law on that, and it's the public policy limitation. That is a real law that had to be made by the courts at some point because of a real thing that happened. Amazing. ZOMG, Riley's plural. Wait, I'm plural? When did this happen? Oh, night, Ella. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Awesome. Sorry to plural identifying people. Oh shit, this person. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know, people, I guess if it's the kind of, like, fun where it's, like, I don't know, like, you look at some, like if you're projecting, like, being trans or LGBT onto, like, a popular content creator for, like, the sake of, like, identifying with them, then, like, that could be fun. But I'm definitely very much not. I mean, like, in a way that, like, you know, just not me. Yeah. Well, it's because you heard someone say hi that couldn't be identified. Oh, I got you. All right. Actually, yes, it turns out that I am plural. It actually does be true.
Shocking news.
Very shocking. Yes. The real person who said hi was the friends that we made along the way, after all. Or was inside us all along. Actually, they were inside us all along, because that's the joke. But anyway, I'm sorry. Now we're way too off topic. You can go on to the next question.
All right. What are the things corporations have to do after incorporating?
They have to register their incorporation with somebody. I guess the Attorney General's office. Or maybe it's not them. Maybe it's the IRS. I really hope it's one of those.
So there's 3 things. It's draft bylaws, an organizational meeting, which names directors if necessary, adopt bylaws and appoint officers, and the last is issue stock.
Wow, I was way off. Give me a 0. Damn, I'm just really failing hard, aren't I? It's good to sometimes be wrong though, because it's how I remember it's actually been shown that, like, if you fail a test the first time, or if you fail a question the first time through, it actually makes you more likely to remember what the correct answer was for the next time it comes around. So I really don't mind it as much. Although it does kind of make me look like a dumbass when you eat your friends. Yeah, I don't mind looking like a dumbass or at least in these kind of situations. Again, like, it does kind of suck that, unfortunately, I mean, like, I don't know. I don't know if it sucks or if it just kind of is what it is. that like my viability or like my public image is basically tied to my ability to deal with any argument that comes my way. That is what it is. I had a little nap. Hello, Brian. Friends are fish, not food. Wait, what? Anyway, I'm sorry. This is really, you need to have like a something to get my attention, because I am actually terrible. I get distracted easy. I'm like a goldfish. With how easy I get distracted from doing work. It's terrible.
I mean, then I risk the wrath of stream chat not letting you go on about things.
Stream chat has, like, listen, you have my undivided blessing to interrupt me. All right, you can do it whenever you want, unless I say not to.
Okay. So I feel like this will be the last one since we are coming up on 2 o'clock.
That's probably good.
It is. How did the Supreme Court historically interpret the civil rights amendments throughout Reconstruction?
They interpreted them as narrowly as possible.
Yep, there's a little bit more to it. 13th Amendment strictly applied to slavery and absolutely nothing else. The 14th strictly applied to the state conduct, but not private conduct.
Yeah. In that case, you can give me a 4.
And that's 2 o'clock. Unless you want to do one
Nah,
more?
listen, we're gonna call it there. I'm gonna finish up what I'm doing with this world boss right here. I feel pretty good. For people who are unaware of basically my goal with ESO, I want 100% this game on this character. Alright, I want all the achievements. I want every goddamn achievement with this character. That's what I want to do. And so I just go around one stream and I just kind of complete zones. You know, this is pretty good. Most of them are pretty clear at this point. Some of them, this has a little stuff to do. But yeah, it's a fun time. But yeah, no, that'll be my last one. Let's see, let me read chat for a second. Your image is tied to being best wolf girl. Hey, if you say so. Oh god, I feel the arguments thing. Yeah, but I mean it's because we're also had to a generally higher standard. I try, but I'm also attention whore. All right, listen. I don't know if validating my desires is a good thing. I probably shouldn't read that, but I'm too tired right now. I'm just basically reading. Don't write anything bad. Hydration check. I drank all of my tea. I'll drink water after this. But you're right. I normally have like my thermos, right? I normally have this, but I didn't make any tea for tonight because I was just too busy. But like Vosh has his giant like water thing. I have my thermos because also, have I shown you all this? Like it has like I've had this for years, you know? And it's just collected stickers from everywhere I've been at. Like look at that shit, you know? This has stories. It's like my favorite thing to do is to tell stories. Dropping Necro for Templar hurts my Necro soul. Listen, wait. I mean, it's not... I mean, like, my... There's two things about it, right? The first is that, like, in principle... Well, actually, not in principle. I just have more time into my Templar, like a crazy more amount of time, like so much it's staggering. And so it just makes more sense if I actually like want to have a good shot at 100%ing the game without putting literally another year in, that I just go with my Templar. But also, as much as I hate to say it, I just like, look at her. This is just me in ESO 4. Like, this is, like, if you were to take me and, like, translate me into the Elder Scrolls universe, like, this is me, alright? I hate to say it, but I'm not a necromancer. I probably would have a hot necromancer GF, but I would not be a necromancer, right? And I think that's valid, right? I think that it's valid to acknowledge that, like, there's an aesthetic that's really nice, but that it's also not your aesthetic, you know? Fair point, it hurts my necro soul a little bit less. There you go. But yeah, so it's just like Wait, why are you typing in chat? You're talking to me right now. But yeah, so it's like I don't know. It's just like God, what was I saying? Yeah, I don't know. I think it's I like my person. I've put a lot of love into her, and like especially with this DLC and some new armor sets, like this is my favorite look I've ever had for her. You know, like it's very like the thing I don't love. Necromancer GF is very valid. I mean, oh yeah, incredibly. Listen, yeah, like I think that like the most. I don't know. I like the goth aesthetic. All right, I think I think that like, goth girl GF is very. It's nice. Connect Control Z. There you go. When I'm not doing flashcards, I functionally mute. Oh, okay. That's valid. Let's see. What was I doing? Did I sell anything yet? I didn't. Can't do anything with that. Yawn. But yeah, so it's just better for me to finish, and also just like I've done so much. Like the other thing I like about this game is that not only is it not only is like can I like aesthetically basically do what I want as far as figuring out how I want to present, but also the math on this person is so complicated. Doomer Wojak has been summoned. Wait, what? When? What necromancer hits the floor, they become necro. All right, that's a good meme. I had necromancer GF, very nice. Well, there you go. But yeah, so like, there's also the fact that like this character. Here, I'll move the stream chat so you can see. Like, I have put so much time into like this character, like the sets, right? Like basically, so just to run through it, I run Black Rose on the back bar, and then on the front bar I run Titanborns, which might be controversial to people who play a lot, but the reason I run that is because I then run Ancient Dragon Guard and Troll King. So basically the function of this is that like even though I'm a stamina class, which generally is a lot like not as tanky, like it's a lot squishier than like Magicka classes usually, the way I have this built, especially since I'm a Nord, so when I go into Werewolf, I max out my resistances. Like, I have the max resistances that are, like, basically allowed in the game. And then I also have, no matter what, a lot of weapon damage, because even if I drop below 50%, this would normally, like, switch the weapon damage bonus it would give me into physical and spell resistance. But this would actually compensate for that and actually make it so I'm slightly stronger than when I'm at full health. And this makes it so when I'm under 50% I heal. Like, basically, it all just combines to make me, like, have very good, consistent damage, while also being very hard to kill, which is exactly what you want to go for in, like, solo and PvP content. So, yeah, like, I've thought a lot about her. And also, everything is legendary, which also was a lot, especially, God, the jewelry. Fuck me. This is dungeon jewelry, which is also particularly hard to get, and it's also legendary. This took me forever. To get. I am the Necromancer wife. Great. Necromancer GF is one end of the lesbian fashion spectrum. What's the other? Am I the other end of the spectrum? Oh hey, someone wants to be my friend. There we go. If I keep streaming ESO, eventually it'll just naturally get to the point where let me move this back. Eventually, it'll just naturally get to the point where I'll just get friend requests everywhere. It'll be like impossible to accept everyone. All right, it's 2:07 a.m. I think I'm gonna leave that there. Is there anyone who we want to raid? There's 28 viewers. That's not nothing. Oh, I'll raid the Ferociously Staff. That'll be fun. I like her. She seems like cool. I wish that we would be more friends, but I think this is the thing that kind of sucks for me. Is that I do think I'm a little abrasive for some people. I don't love that. Like, I don't know. There are a lot of people who I want to be friends with, but probably who don't want to be friends with me or are very, like, unsure about me because, like, I can be more abrasive. I don't know. I don't love that. I just want to be friends with everyone. Listen. What are your total ESO hours? We already went over it. It's like I mean, like most of my time is into this character. It's probably going to be like an extra 100 hours between my other characters. Yes, Senpai knows me. There you go. You're not as abrasive as Vosh. After having watched Vosh, you're perfectly. Yeah, I know I generally probably come out better than him, right? But I mean, like, I'm still more abrasive than like a lot of people, especially like in LGBT. Now, mind you, I think that's like a reason why some people like me. Like, I don't know, it's probably a reason like Calvin and Miss London and like other people like that like me, is because like I tend to what's a good way to say this? I don't police my language as much, and I feel like that comes off as just making me seem more and again, like, this is terrible language, right? But at least to some people, seeming like a more accessible, more heavy quotations normal. You stand by your principles, which is nice. That's also true. I do that, right? I do stand by my principles, but I think that there are other people who do that as well, who are not treated as well. Someone in YouTube chat asked if you have an OnlyFans. I do not have an OnlyFans. I do not. It probably would not be the greatest. Yeah. I don't know. I've also, like, it would just be kind of weird for me to have one, right? Hold on, I'm just talking to chat. I'm gonna go full screen. Like, it would just be kind of weird for me to have one, right? By virtue of the fact that, like, I don't, like, I do not get the impression that my community, like, sexualizes me, which is good. That's a good thing. I don't want that, all right? I like being able to look cute and ooh-woo without being sexualized. I think that those are two things that can be entirely distinct from one another. And yeah, I don't know. It would just feel weird. Principles, stand back and stand by. Oh my fucking god. But yeah, I don't anticipate ever opening an OnlyFans. Or maybe I will for political purposes. Who knows? But it just kind of, like, in principle, it just kind of feels weird to me. Yeah. Alright. I'm gonna go raid y'all into Ferociously Seth. And hopefully, hey, maybe we stand not sexualizing uwu. Thank you. Also, I'll remind everyone who's in the Discord that if you are using Discord chat, it means that you abide by the rules of the Discord. And one of the rules is that this is a family-friendly, non-sexual Discord. Where's the copy pasta? That's they're horny people. Is it exclamation point horny? Yeah, there you go. Horny people have no rights. Horny people are not protected under the Constitution. If you are horny, I will find you, and then you will be sorry, Buster. Unfollow me right fucking now if you are horny. Have ever been horny or will ever be horny. This is not a joke. Please leave. And OnlyFans, that is OnlyFans. Maybe I'll have an OnlyFans, but it actually isn't sexual content whatsoever. It's literally just like what would it be? Maybe it's like I record myself walking to work in the morning and just like talking.
The true Shelly is.
Oh shit! Actually, OnlyFans, and that's where the Shelly cam is. All right, you can have the Shelly cam. It'll be on OnlyFans. Yeah. Hey, listen, y'all will get it. Y'all will get it. It's just wholesome content for fans. Listen, yep, that's what it's gonna be. It's gonna be there'll be an OnlyFans. It'll only be Shelly. And that's what it will be. This actually isn't the worst. This isn't the worst idea, actually. I am wholesome fans. It might be. It might be. It's just all pictures of Shelly. You joke about this. It's actually, it's literally not the worst idea. Although then it would just be like, Instagram, but paid for. I don't know. Interesting thoughts. Anyway. Oh, hold on. Did I raid y'all in there? I hope I did.
Thanks, even if through a meager offering.
We're talking to the gods, Athena. Hopefully you're familiar